45 seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
You're listening to the JR Sport Brief.
And welcome on to the JR Sport Brief Show. It is Ryan Hickey in for JR on this Tuesday. Welcome. Thank you for making us a part of your Tuesday right here on the Infinity Sports Network. Very excited about this show. Big time show for you here. We get set for NFL week number 1 to kick off. We have a legend in the business stopping by here in 20 minutes. Tom Moore. Legendary offensive coordinator that coached Peyton Manning, that coached Tom Brady, that coached Terry Bradshaw, who is still currently coaching at 86 years old with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tom Moore also has a book out, The Player's Coach. I've been reading it. It's been very good, very insightful. If you're a football historian, you will like this one a lot. He is coming by to talk about his career, what he's seen in the NFL, his takes on a few young quarterbacks as well. 20 minutes from now, Tom Moore stopping by here. Very excited for that. But we start today's show where we left off last night's show. And that was Boston College upsetting Florida State. I want to look at it from the Florida State perspective. That was one of the worst losses in the 122 years of Florida State football. It was so catastrophic. Florida State does not have a choice but to fire Mike Norvell at the end of the year. That's how bad of a loss it was. And it was bad, not because of the result, not because on the surface you lost to Boston College and went to 0-2 in the season. That's not why I think Mike Norvell should be fired after last night. He should be fired after last night because of what the effort that we saw from his team or lack thereof. We witnessed a team quit on their coach last night. On national TV, they quit on Norvell. Because if Florida State was trying, there is no way you can tell me that they actually cared and had some pride. They would allow 263 rushing yards like they did last night. And they actually had, any sort of respect for themselves or respect for their head coach. There's no way that offensive line is paving the way in the run game to average 1.3 yards per rush. And there's no way you can watch DJ Uiagalelei, whether it's his decision-making, some of the lack of concentration by the receivers and dropping easy passes, where he completes the same amount of passes as incompletions. 21 apiece. That was one of the most disgraceful efforts I have ever seen from a storied program in my life. I don't see how, if you're Florida State, how you can believe this is the guy to take you going forward here. It was awful. It was catastrophic. And the concerning part is, from an effort perspective only, Monday night should have been the easiest get-up game that Mike Norvell has ever had to coach. Think about it. Last week, you lose to Georgia Tech. You've heard a week of crap about how Florida State stinks. I've said it. A lot of other people have said it as well. But now in this new era of the college football playoff, where now it's a 12-team playoff, one loss does not end your season. So if you're Florida State, you could have and should have looked at that loss by Georgia Tech and say, well, we have another opportunity here. Our season is far from over. We can now prove everybody, shut all the doubters up with a big-time performance against Boston College in what was a nationally televised standalone game. You are back at home in the friendly confines of Doak Walker Stadium, and you still have a chip on your shoulder. after last year's disrespect you could feel of getting left out of the college football playoff at 13-0. All those factors were working in Florida State's favor as to why they should have shot out of the gate, punched Boston College in the mouth, and never looked back. And instead, they never got out of first gear. They looked like they wanted to be anywhere but on the field. BC came out swinging. They had no response. They had no fights. It wasn't like it wasn't the fact that they lost. It's a fact they didn't even try. They didn't even show up. That's the effort they put out for their head coach and their fans in a game where everybody is watching. Mike Norvell does not have the ear of his team. He does not have the respect of his team. And I don't see how, again, if you're Florida State right now going forward, how you can believe this is the guy. That's the answer that's going to take you to the promised land. I mean, that effort yesterday, I think wipes away all of the good from the 13-0 start to the season you had last year. It was that alarming and that bad. Mike Norvell, after the game, was talking to the media, and he took the blame himself for not having the guys ready to play.
Sick to how the season started. Obviously tonight, I failed in preparing the team to be able to go out and respond tonight, and and just the things that were necessary for us, the things we talked about, things we emphasized. Obviously, in all phases, we're not able to execute.
Either Mike Norvell failed in what should have been an easy bounce-back game as a 17-point favorite at home to get the season back on track, or he's jumping on the sword because he did his job in getting his players prepared, but his players didn't listen to him. And you watch, again, how that team played. I would argue last night, the players looked like they tuned him out. Like they didn't care what he had to say. That team looked like a bunch of individuals, not a team whatsoever. And I'll say this about the players. In any sport, players know. Players are the first ones to sniff out a fraud, whether it's one of their teammates, whether it's a coach. And you watch the effort. You watch the body language from last night's game. That, to me, says they smell a fraud in their head coach. They don't respect him. They don't believe in what he's trying to teach them. That is problematic. And now the results are starting to bear that out as well. This is the third time in Mike Norvell's 5 years at Florida State that the Seminoles have started off a year 0-2. If you look at the storied history of the program, let's go back to when Bobby Bowden first got there in 1976. In the 48 years, or I should say in those 48 years, the Seminoles have combined to start 0-2 6 times in 48 years. And now we're seeing right now, in 5 years under Mike Norvell, this happening for the third time. The results are not there. The results shouldn't be for a program as legendary, as storied, as historic as Florida State. You should not be operating like a group of 5 school, where if everything aligns, the perfect storm ensues, you can maybe, have a great season and push to be a playoff team. The bar at Florida State is college football playoff contention every single year, national title contention every single year, not once every 5 years, not once every 10 years. And you look at Mike Norvell so far, in his 5 years there, they have been a true college football playoff contender 1 out of 5 years. It's a group of 5 mentality. You shouldn't need the perfect storm to get this team to be playing in the weakest conference, the ACC, at a high level. Yet that's exactly what happened. He's done a poor job, Norvell that is, of identifying talent in the transfer portal. He's done a poor job right now at developing that talent here this year. And that's why you heard him after the game apologizing to the entire Florida State community.
It's extremely disappointing. And, I apologize to our fans, apologize to everybody associated with the program. I mean, that was extremely disappointing that we're not better.
Disappointing is a nice way to put it. I mean, this is so bad. You have fans now getting chased down by the internet to eat dog crap because they made a promise they thought they would never actually pay off, which is, hey, I'll eat dog crap if BC beats Florida State. And now that's, well, we hope happens. That guy is right now tried to remove himself from the internet. Can't do that, buddy. Good luck with that one. I've seen message board posts of Florida State fans asking for lawyers so that they can try to countersue and press, or say that the players are embezzling them because the NIL funds are not being used properly because the team is not playing up to the level that they paid the players to play at. And this is just right. This is panic city in Tallahassee. And it starts with the head man and Mike Norvell. He did not do a good job at rebuilding this team after last year. He's not done a good job at sustaining success at Florida State. And now, to me, it feels like the team has quit on him. 2 games into the year, it feels like the team has quit on him. And it's not going to get better anytime soon. This is a team that's going to struggle to become bowl eligible. And with a rough 2024 ahead, if you're Florida State, I don't see how you can justify bringing Mike Norvell back for 2025. That loss last night, because of the effort or really lack thereof that you saw from the Seminole players on the field, the lack of care, the lack of pride, to me says that's a team that's quit on their head coach. You got to change the culture. You got to start now moving things around to get back in the right direction. Norvell is not the guy to consistently get you where you want to be. I think he got himself fired after what we saw on Monday night. 855-212-4227. 855-212-4227. Should the Seminoles fire Mike Norvell? Was that a fireable offense last night, Monday night, in that game you watched? The effort was poor. Does that game outweigh a 13-0 start to the 2023 season? 855-212-4227. 855-212-4227. It is Ryan Hickey in for JR on this Tuesday. Thank you for joining us right here on the Infinity Sports Network. We'll get your thoughts, and when we return as well, a legend, a true living legend, joins the program. A man in his 46th season as an NFL coach. Coach Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Terry Bradshaw, has won 4 Super Bowls. He's a member of the Pro Football Hall of Fame, receiving the Award of Excellence. The accolades, I could say to you for hours. Talk about the greatness of Tom Moore. We'll allow him to talk about some of the greatness that he has achieved. We'll ask him not only about the players he's coached, the current state of the NFL, some of the young guns coming up here. We got a lot to dive into here with Tom Moore. He'll join us here. On the other side, it is Ryan Hickey in for JR on this Tuesday. Excuse me. Feels like a Monday, but it is a Tuesday. Right here on the Infinity Sports Network. Football season is here, and Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action while watching football. Season-long fantasy takes so much time, but on Prize Picks, you can pick a new lineup every day. The app is really simple to use. Pick 2 or more players across any sport. Pick more or less on their projection, and you could win up to 100 times your money. On Prize Picks, you could still cash out even if the lineup isn't perfect, and all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. Not only that, but Prize Picks is the only daily fantasy app with injury insurance. If one of your players goes down in the first half, Prize Picks doesn't count it as a loss. How about that? Just some of the many ways Prize Picks puts its members first. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code JR and get $50 credit instantly when you play $5. That's code JR on Prize Picks to get $50 in credit instantly when you play just $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It is guaranteed. Prize Picks. Run your game. Must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for restrictions and details.
You're listening to the JR Sport Brief.
You're in a 4-minute break. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Listening to the JR Sport Brief.
What you have, you can't even put a price on it, is you have a platform, and you always handle your platform with responsibility. And for that, I look up to you, and I respect you, and I appreciate you.
Call him now at 855-212-4227.
It's Ryan Hickey in for JR on this Tuesday, which is always a tough day on the calendar here, the Tuesday after Labor Day. Number one, you're back to work after holiday weekend, which is always tough. But this Tuesday's different. If you have kids, it's back to school time. So that always changes the mood, at least here in the Northeast. I know that was always one of my first days of school, was like that Tuesday or Wednesday after Labor Day. And now fall is here, so it feels like serious time. Part of that is, at least in the sports world, because it is now football time. The NFL is days away. Very excited to get that season underway, and very excited to welcome on a legend in the NFL game. A man about to start his 46th season of coaching in the NFL. He is a legend who's coached the likes of Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Terry Bradshaw, is a 4-time Super Bowl champion, and also now has a book out, The Player's Coach, From Bradshaw to Manning, Brady, and beyond. This is a man, Tom Moore. Legend himself now also joins us on the JR Sport Brief Show with Ryan Hickey filling in. Tom, thank you so much for the time. Really appreciate it. How are you doing?
Well, thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Of course. So I feel like the first question I have to ask you here, and it says it right in the title, from Bradshaw to Manning, Brady, and beyond. You have coached some of the best quarterbacks in NFL history, some of the legends of the game. I'm curious from a coach's perspective. We know how demanding these guys are. We know how prepared they are. From your perspective, like what did Tom Brady, what did Peyton Manning, what did they want from you to make them better?
Well, the biggest thing is that all three of them had was a commitment to be great, and that's important. Then the thing I was taught working under Chuck Noll, which was my first job as the Pittsburgh Steelers, your job as a coach is to make the best better. And in doing that, that involves teaching fundamentals, techniques, teaching them what to do, how to do it, so that they can play fast and have success.
How long does it take for a quarterback to buy into what the head coach is saying and earn the respect?
Well, I think it happens immediately because these guys are, high draft picks or top athletes. They have top commitment to wanting excellence, so they're very easy to coach because they want to be coached. They want to be taught what they don't know so that they can improve, be successful, and be at the top of their game. So actually it's easy and it's fun to coach these type of players.
Interesting. We're talking to Tom Moore here, legendary NFL offensive mind, a 4-time Super Bowl champion. Also now has a book out, The Player's Coach, available wherever you do get your books. You said the word instantly, Tom, and that had me thinking about at least how we view quarterbacks nowadays, right? When you have these high draft picks coming into the league, so many fans want the quarterbacks to play right away, and they want to see immediate results, which really puts pressure on a quarterback because patience now is very, very thin. And we see a lot of first-round quarterbacks bust out and not live up to expectations. From your perspective, being in the game so long, being around some of the greats, when you look at, let's say, a rookie quarterback, a young quarterback coming in, how quickly, from a coaching perspective, can you tell, oh, this guy's got it, he has a chance to be really good, or, oh, boy, this guy, we may have whiffed on him?
Well, it varies with each quarterback, of course, and some are drafted and they're thrown right into the fray immediately, which Peyton was. Mm-hmm. And, there's rookie mistakes, and that's okay. That's going to happen. Don't lose patience. Don't lose confidence. Then other quarterbacks have the luxury, such as Aaron Rodgers, who was drafted, and they already had Brett Favre there. And so he got to take some time. So it varies with each quarterback. But the biggest thing is you got to have patience. You got to understand, and then it's the coach's responsibility as far as teaching them and helping them and providing them with the tools to succeed. And then they got to be surrounded with other great players. The three quarterbacks that you mentioned, obviously they all had a good supporting cast, and that certainly helps in their development.
You're right about that. We're talking to Tom Moore, not only a 4-time Super Bowl champion, as a great offensive mind, regarded as one of the best, if not the best assistant coach in NFL history. Also has received the Pro Football Hall of Fame Award of Excellence, and again, has a book out, The Player's Coach. You said, Tom, there in highlighting different, legendary great quarterbacks, different paths. Peyton Manning played right away. Obviously, he has the rookie record for most interceptions. Guys like Brady, guys like Rodgers sat. Do you subscribe to one theory when it comes to quarterbacks? Should they play or sit, or is it a case-by-case basis?
Well, I think each situation is different. In Manning's case, why he was the heir apparent immediately, and we put him in the fray. And I told him the biggest thing is play smart, not scared. I'll take responsibility for all the interceptions. You take credit for all the touchdown passes, and we'll move forward.
Talking to Tom Moore, I'm curious, Tom, at 86 years old now, and this book just really dives into all the experiences you had throughout the game, and they are numerous here. But with what all you have accomplished in your past, why now gear up for a 46th season? This is going to be your sixth with the Bucs. Why still coach?
Well, it's very simple. I love the game. I love the competition. I love the process. And until you're 85 years old, which I am, you'll never understand exactly how great a feeling it is to get up every morning and have a job and be able to go to work.
God bless you, Tom. I don't know if I could do that. At 85, I hope to have my feet kicked up on a beach and living life that way.
Well,
we're all different, huh?
The nice thing about it is coaching is my profession, my job, and my hobby.
That's true. Well, what more can you want? Tom Moore here, 46-year NFL coach, NFL assistant coach. I'm curious, Tom, did you ever want to be a head coach in the NFL?
Well, yeah, I wanted to be a head coach, but it wasn't going to happen. I interviewed for one job, a Detroit Lions job, and did not get it. And that's okay. That's no problem. The coach that got it, was certainly deserving, and all the head coaches that are in the league are deserving. So my mindset is, okay, if you can't be a general, be the best colonel that is in the NFL. So that was my mindset, and I'm not going to be a head coach, and that's okay. Don't worry about it. Just be the best colonel you can be.
The man we are talking to right now is Tom Moore, four-time Super Bowl champion. Book is out, The Player's Coach, From Bradshaw to Manning, Brady, and Beyond. Get it wherever you do get your books. How would you view the head coaching job now, Tom? Would you say, in your experiences, being a head coach in the NFL in this day and age with the responsibility, the pressure, social media, and everything, is this the hardest time it's ever been for an NFL head coach?
Well, I think it has its ups and downs, and there's certainly some obstacles, but those obstacles are easily overcome. The biggest thing in being a head coach, I think, is making sure that you have a good support staff and a good assistant coaching staff, and that's why I always tried to understand the head coach's situations and his problems, and I tried to be there to help him to succeed and to be the best assistant coach I could be.
Talking to Tom Moore, Bucs assistant, now going into his sixth year in Tampa Bay. You broke into the league as an assistant with the Steelers back in 1977. How would you assess the state of the NFL, like the state of the NFL game now, where it is more offensive driven, more pass happy? You know, in the 50 or so years you've been in the NFL, would you say this is the best the league has been from a play perspective?
Well, yes. To answer your question, and the whole thing is an evolutionary process that develops over the course of time. And I think the great players from the past would be great players today, but the game has certainly improved. The facilities have improved. The care that they give the players as far as medical help, the training, the nutrition, all that stuff has improved. I think the quality game has improved. The competition committee within the league, I think, has done a tremendous job with evaluating every year the rules with concerns for safety, and have acted upon it. And I think the league's as strong as it ever was, and will get stronger.
You said the word evolutionary. We're talking to Tom Moore here, now current assistant with the Buccaneers, 46-year NFL assistant, notably coached Tom Brady, Peyton Manning. Evolutionary. In the college game now, Tom, especially after this weekend with Clemson losing to Georgia, a lot of people have been criticizing Dabo Swinney for not adjusting to the modern-day college football. You have been able in your career to adjust as the game changes, as players change. Is there a key that's really helped you make, again, that growth from the 70s now to today?
Well, I think you got to take advantage of your players' abilities, and you have to be sure that you adjust to what your players can do, and make sure you're facilitating everything for your players. It's a player's game, and the players they do the work. They out there conditioning, performing, getting hit, all those things. So all the credit goes to the players and the coaches. In essence, you're basically a caretaker, and your job as a coach is to make the best better.
We're talking to Tom Moore right now, 4-time Super Bowl champion. The book out, The Player's Coach. I'm curious here, Tom. You've coached thousands of players. Was there one that stands out in particular? It doesn't have to be the best per se here, but was there one that you enjoyed coaching maybe more than anyone else?
Well, I certainly couldn't narrow it to one because I enjoy coaching all of them. They're fun. It's to me it's very rewarding. First of all, I think it's a tremendous privilege to get to coach in the NFL, and I think you should take advantage of it. And you're there to help the players. And one of the things that I enjoy most is watching players who work hard have the success that they have both on the field and off the field and later in life. Of course, I coach Peyton Manning, and one of my favorite TV shows right now is Monday Night Football with Peyton.
He is a character. I'm sure Peyton had a few jokes and pranks along the way as well during your time in Indy here. Last question, we're talking to Tom Moore, coach legends like Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Terry Bradshaw, coached under Chuck Noll, Tony Dungy, Bruce Arians. When you look at Caleb Williams, he came into the NFL highly regarded, one of the most hyped quarterbacks we have seen in a while, been labeled a generational talent, been, discussed in the same class as Andrew Luck, John Elway. With what you've seen from Caleb, do you buy those adjectives used to describe Caleb? Do you think he could be one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL here pretty fast?
Who? I didn't hear who you mentioned.
Oh, my apologies. Caleb Williams, rookie for the Bears.
Oh, Caleb Williams. I think he's a tremendous talent, and I think that he had great success there at Southern Cal, and he's a very gifted athlete, and he has great coaching there with the Chicago Bears, and they just got to give him time. Like any rookie, they make mistakes. That's going to happen, but that's okay. You just got to hang in there with them and give them all the confidence they need, and just make sure they play smart, not scared.
Tom Moore, a true living legend in the NFL, 46-year assistant, 4-time Super Bowl champ. If you are an historian, if you like to hear behind-the-scenes stories, if you are a Peyton Manning fan, Tom Brady fan, Steeler fan, etc., this is the book for you, The Player's Coach, from Bradshaw to Manning, Brady, and beyond. Tom, I really appreciate the time. Thank you so much for joining us here, and best of luck this year with the Buccaneers.
Well, thank you very much for having me on your program. I appreciate it.
Tom Moore, legend. And that was fun for me, selfishly, as a Colts fan, really growing up with that Peyton Manning era, 03, 04, 05, 06, winning the Super Bowl. And those two were tied to the hip. Manning, obviously you talk about the players, Edgerrin James, Marvin Harrison, Reggie Wayne. Those guys were all tremendous, some great offensive linemen. But when you look at the brain behind that offense, obviously Peyton Manning had a massive, massive part in that. But equally so was Tom Moore, who not only did a great job of coaching, setting up the Colts for success, but also I think you heard there, letting the players kind of figured out letting them take charge if they feel comfortable, not always having to be a control freak and having to, take credit for everything. Really appreciate Tom's perspective there for joining us. And again, I've been reading the book, The Player's Coach. It is really cool, really insightful. So, Tom's coached a bunch of teams, coached some of the best players in NFL history here. So if you want to hear more backstories about them, what it's like up close and personal, interacting with some greats, check out the book, The Player's Coach, available wherever you do get your books. It's Ryan Hickey in for JR right here on this Tuesday. When we return, I do want to mention one other thing about the Tom Moore interview, but also why the 49ers have by far the most pressure on them in the NFL this season. We'll get to that after the latest sports update from Rich Ackerman.
Infinity Sports Network Sports Flash.
And it's sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Protect your family, your phone, and your furry friends with life, electronic device, and pet health insurance. It was a long summer for Trent Williams, but it finally seems like it's going to have a happy ending for him as the All-Pro tackle reportedly set to end his holdout. While the 49ers got another dose of good news with Christian McCaffrey back at practice today after missing a couple of weeks with a strained calf. So Brandon Ayuk, Trent Williams, and Christian McCaffrey all missing a good portion of the summer for a variety of reasons. All could be in the lineup and on the field next Monday night when they open the season against the Jets. Cam Hayward has the security of a 3-year extension from the Steelers. $16 million of the $45 million on the deal is guaranteed. The season opening losses for Clemson and Florida State were devastating in terms of the polls. The Tigers dropped to number 25 in the new AP poll after falling to Georgia big, and the Seminoles out entirely after an 0-2 start. Georgia does remain number 1 in the poll once again. At the U.S. Open today, a good day for a couple of Americans. Emma Navarro moving into the women's semis with a straight sets win over Paula Badosa, 6-2, 7-5. And on the men's side, Taylor Fritz got past Alex Zverev, the 4th seed, in 4 sets. The Edmonton Oilers have signed Leon Draisaitl to an 8-year extension. The $14 million average annual salary is the largest of the salary cap era. Baseball tonight, just getting underway in Baltimore, are the Orioles and the White Sox. Baltimore opens the day a half game behind the Yankees in the American League East. The Yankees continue their series in Texas tonight against the Rangers. I'm Rich Ackerman.
The Infinity Sports Network is on your smart speaker. All you have to say is play Infinity Sports Network. That's it. Play Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining.
2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
You're listening to the JR Sport Brief.
You're always on point, man. I could be having a rough day after on your show, and it just brightens the whole day up, man.
Call him now at 855-212-4227.
It's Ryan Hickey in for JR on this Tuesday. Welcome. Appreciate you making us a part of it right here on the Infinity Sports Network. We do again thank Tom Moore, just a true living legend of the NFL game, for joining us here on the show. I'm not kidding, by the way, when I told him this. I would not be doing what he's doing. Jack, the man is 86 years old, about to start his 46th year as an assistant coach. He has 4 Super Bowl rings. He's coached the best quarterbacks in the game. I would hang it up, maybe a little margarita. I'm not a mimosa guy, so I wouldn't really do that. But I don't even need booze. Just give me a chair, give me the beach, give me 85 degrees all year round, and I will never complain ever again.
He is in Tampa, so he is in.
Yeah, he's a coach.
But he can. No, it's true. I'm saying he is down nice in the nice warm area. I will say that. But in general, yeah, I can't imagine 86 years old still. I mean, coaching an NFL season, you're 17 games now. Team does well to make the playoffs. I mean, back in 2020. They go on that Super Bowl run. Was he on the? He was on the team. He was on the team at that time. And so it's 20 games and those preseason games. They played 23 games, 24 games. That's a lot. That's a lot on. That's a lot for somebody. Anybody, and he's still doing it.
There's no off season. He's watched Caleb Williams. He's watched Jaden Daniels.
Right.
Even though the Buccaneers are not drafting a quarterback, he's still putting in the work watching these guys. And it's just I was reading an excerpt from his book today, and he's still the first guy in the building.
It's insane.
So he's there early. I'm sure he stays late. And even though he's in Tampa, outside of the 2 hours or outside for practice, I don't think he's seeing much of the sun.
Oh, yeah, he's not going to the beach after practice. He's not packing up a cooler and a beach towel and his beach chair and going, all right, guys, I'll see you later. I'm going to go check out the beach. But yeah, God bless him.
At 86, I have his energy.
So do I.
I mean, that is remarkable. Good for him. Sharp as attack. I see him too. I mean, now that he's promoting the book, he's doing all these interviews all day. Like, the man is just on top of it, sharp. I give him a lot of credit. And he is, again, a legend. He puts in the work, which is part of the reason why he's so successful. But also one thing I want to mention here, because I thought it was really poignant, especially when you talk about Mike Norvell. And we talked a lot this weekend about Dabo Swinney. And Dabo Swinney now is under fire after another blowout loss, this time to Georgia, because of his failure to adapt to the transfer portal. That's part of the problem. But it is amazing to see, like, it almost makes what Dabo is doing worse when you see an 86-year-old man who has been in the NFL since 1977, who has seen it all, who has seen changes in the offense. He's seen changes in the personnel. He's seen changes in just how players' personalities are and how they react to criticism, how they react to coaching. Players now, compared to players in the 70s, are much different. Coaches, it was much more of like a drill sergeant in the 70s and 80s versus now what you have today, where they're more glorified babysitters. That's what a lot of them are, right? Let's just be real. But this is a man who still adjusts to the personnel, to how the game is being played, how players want to, how they want to be coached by him. And it just is another damning effect to Dabo, where you look at it and goes, how are you getting lapped right now by a guy double your age who makes it seem so simple? And Tom is right. Tom just gave every single coach. If you were a coach listening, I hope you enjoyed what Tom had to say. And if you missed it, check out the Hick at Night podcast feed, Night spelled N-I-T-E. If you're listening on the Odyssey app, we thank you. It's free to download. Rewind just 20 minutes ago. We just had him on here. But Tom gave tremendous advice for any coach or want to be coach in the future. And that is basically to empower the players. You're there to serve them. And I think when you look at the best coaches in the NFL, that's what they are. This word is going to sound like I'm demeaning the head coach, but I think the best head coaches are servants. Here's what I mean by that. McVay, Andy Reid, Kyle Shanahan, brilliant offensive minds, just brilliant football minds. But I think at their core, outside of being tremendous game planners and having all the knowledge in the world, they also, I think, view how the game is won because it's a player's game. They empower their players. They don't, have the grips on them and almost are an egomaniac where they want everything to be about them. I'm going to control everything here. So I'm going to make sure that the reads are controlled. I'm going to make sure that everything is basically done with what I say, and there's no free reign, no letting the players take over, no trust between the players and the coach. And you see a lot of those coaches that have like the vice grip on players, on quarterbacks specifically, not last too long. I get, it's hard to be a head coach. I get that. Only 32 jobs, and the patience is very thin. So if you're going to fail, you want to fail, on your own. But the key to success here, and you heard it from Tom, is empowering the players, is being there to serve the players. What do you need from me in order to be at your best? And I think both college, NFL, high school, the best coaches in football and sports, I think because it translates all across, I think the coaches have that mindset. I am here to make sure you are at your best. What can I do? Maybe it's motivational. Maybe it's scheme. Maybe it's game plan. Maybe it's play calling. Whatever it is, what do you need me to do in order for you to feel comfortable, confident, and play at your best? And the coaches that have that selfless mindset are the ones that I think are the best in the league. And those selfish, control-free coaches are the ones that burn out and are fired in 3 years. That was tremendous perspective there from Tom Moore. Really glad he was able to join us here for a few minutes. And again, check out his book, appropriately titled The Player's Coach. Now you see Tom's viewpoint on that. All right, so we had some big news. It is Ryan Hickey with you right here on the Infinity Sports Network. 10 minutes from now, I'll tell you the most overvalued quarterback going to this 2024 season. But before that, we had big news today because officially Trent Williams was back at practice and signed a new deal. His holdout is over. You also had the return of Christian McCaffrey, who's been out almost the entirety of training camp with a calf injury. He returned to practice today. We obviously know Brandon Ayuk signed that deal last week. So the 49ers, for the first time this training camp, are whole, healthy, and ready to go week number 1 when the Jets come to town here on Monday Night Football. And now that everybody's signed, everybody's happy and healthy, they by far have the most pressure of any team in the NFL to win this year. It is truly Super Bowl or bust. Not getting to the big game is good enough. It has to be winning it. They have the best roster in all the NFL. They have an elite coaching staff. This has to be the year for the 49ers. And not because this is the last year before Brock Purdy gets paid. That's been a common sentiment. Next year, Brock Purdy is going to become the highest or one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the NFL. That super insanely cheap deal that the 49ers are living off of right now as they have Mr. Irrelevant being their starting quarterback, that's going to run out soon. But that's not the reason why the onus is on the 49ers to win now. They have to win this year because time is ticking with Trent Williams. He is one of the true catalysts on this team that determines how far the 49ers go. The man is 36 years old. He is arguably the best left tackle in the game. And you see a stark difference in the attitude of the 49ers and in the win column of the 49ers when Trent Williams is out there versus when he's out. Look at last year. Trent Williams missed 2 games because of injury and had to leave or was playing through an injury in 2 others. 4 games where he was either hurt or out. The 49ers in those 4 games, 0-4 last year. When he played 16 games, 14-2. We can look at Brock Purdy. He's very important. Christian McCaffrey, very important. Ayuk, Debo, very important. We can go down the list because they have so many great players, so I won't bore you here, but you get the point. But one guy we don't talk about enough, one guy that truly is a catalyst for winning, is Trent Williams. And now when you're looking at a 36-year-old, I know he's re-signed, so he's not going anywhere anytime soon. This is not his last year. But there is a question at 36, how much longer can he play at an elite level? He was the highest grade left tackle in the NFL last year. He is still at the top of his game. For how much longer, though, is the question. I think he should be fine despite missing all the training camp, so I'm not worried about, rust too much. The guy's been around the block. I think he knows what he has to do to be ready for week number 1. I don't doubt that. But you do see the 49ers here, a big difference and a big contrast when he plays versus when he doesn't play. And now that is, I think, even going to be more glaring than ever this year because the 49ers offensive line, the other 4 guys, are a question mark. There are guys banged up. There's a few unproven players now on the offensive line. There's a rookie involved. They have a lot of questions right now on that offensive line from left guard over. Left tackle secure, but everybody else is a question mark. He's the anchor to that offensive line. He is one of the anchors to the team. And that's why I think if you're the 49ers here, the pressure is on you to win this year, in large part because time is ticking when it comes to Trent Williams and how much longer he can be an elite player for. He's not a guy we mention a lot, but I want to mention him here specifically because not only does he, get a new deal, finally the holdout ends and he's back at practice, but he's a guy that you can see a difference in the 49ers when he's out there versus when he's not. I would say that they have the most swagger of any team in the NFL. They got the boombox coming out. They're rapping. They come out. They have that FU mentality. We're coming out here. We know that we're better than you, and you can't beat us no matter what you do. That ideology, that mindset starts with Trent Williams. Deebo Samuel echoes it as well. A lot of the players feed into that. It starts with Trent. He is one of those key guys that people don't talk about enough. But with his age, I think it only puts the pressure on more for the 49ers to win this season. They have the most pressure on them to win a Super Bowl here in 2024. No doubt about it. It's Ryan Hickey in for JR on this Tuesday right here on the Infinity Sports Network, 855-212-4227. Appreciate you making us a part of your evening here. If you missed any part of the show, Hick at Night Podcast, Night spelled N-I-T-E, available wherever you do get your pods. Also, Ryan Hickey on YouTube is where you can watch a lot of video clips from this show and other shows as well there on the tube. When we return, the most overvalued, the most undervalued quarterbacks in the NFL going to 2024. We'll do that when the JR Sport Brief Show with Ryan Hickey filling in returns on the Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. 15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
You're listening to the JR Sport Brief.
And welcome on into the JR Sport Brief show right here on the Infinity Sports Network. It is Ryan Hickey in for JR. Thank you for making us a part of your Tuesday right here. Where else but the Infinity Sports Network? I love this idea. So The Athletic today unveiled quarterback stocks. So what it is this. It is a ranking of every quarterback 1 through 32. They're going to rank them like a stock. Who's hot, who's not. And it's going to be updated after every single week of action. And so what they did today was release the preseason rankings. Going into 2024, these are who we think the best quarterbacks are. There's a shocker number one. You won't believe it. You ready? Patrick Mahomes. I know. Hot take. Cancel The Athletic. How dare they put Patrick Mahomes number one? But what I want to do with this list here, because this is preseason, right? So this is, I think, a lot of preconceived notions. I want to tell you the most overvalued quarterback going into this year and the most undervalued quarterback going to 2024. Let's start with inflated. Who's the most overrated quarterback on the Athletics list? It's Aaron Rodgers, who the Athletic ranks as the 5th best quarterback going into 2024. How is that possible? How is Aaron Rodgers right now the 5th best quarterback? Based on what? Based on his history? Because Aaron Rodgers in 2024 is not going to be, I think, the Aaron Rodgers that we've seen in previous years. I think people are forgetting, and this is maybe easy to do because we're not seeing a lot of them. Aaron Rodgers is far removed right now from the last time we saw him play high-level football, which was back in 2021, the last time he won the MVP. We are talking about now Aaron Rodgers in 2024, a 40-year-old coming off an Achilles injury where his last full season he played, which is back in 2022, was not very pretty whatsoever. This is a guy that, in that last year in Green Bay, threw for the fewest passing yards in a full season of his career, had the second fewest touchdowns for a full season at 25. His 12 interceptions were the second highest of his career, and Green Bay that year in 2022 went 8-9 and missed the playoffs. So the last time we saw Aaron Rodgers on a field for a full season, he was not very good. By his standards, he had the worst year of his career. So now we're going on to year 3 of being removed from his MVP award. Why are people still thinking this guy's one of the best quarterbacks in the league? Borderline elite guy. What are we looking at? Holding on to the past does not mean that Aaron Rodgers here in the future and present day is going to play well. I think a lot of fans are in for a rude awakening when they watch Aaron Rodgers play this year. He's not playing at a high level. He is not going to be a top 5 quarterback in 2024. The Jets are not making the playoffs. This is going to be a rough year for Aaron Rodgers, and I'm surprised that more people aren't seeing this coming. Outside of just his history of, it's Aaron Rodgers, of course. There's nothing else you can point to as to why Rodgers would be considered the 5th best quarterback going into this season. And last time I checked, like how you think about someone in the past, what they've done in the past does not guarantee future results, future success. Aaron Rodgers at 5, I think, is by far the most overrated quarterback in this Athletic rankings list. Aaron Rodgers was on WFAN recently, and he was excited about the pressure that it is to play with the Jets and high expectations. Here's Aaron Rodgers.
As far as the pressure of coming through for the fans, that's the way it is. I've been fortunate enough to play for two organizations that set a standard of excellence, not, hey, let's just have a pretty good season. Let's be the best. And I think that's you want to play. And you don't want to play in a city where they're just so excited to, win a few games every year. It's like, no, we're the
they're not excited
Jets,
around here for that. They want more.
Let's go, get it done and get the hell out. So that's the type of team we want to play for.
Be careful what you wish for. That's what I'll say to Aaron Rodgers. Because Jets fans are hungry. They are expecting the world. They are expecting Super Bowl. And they are not afraid to voice their displeasure if they are not getting what they signed up for. If you get off to a rough start and you're throwing some picks, the offense is not scoring, get ready for the boo birds, but more importantly, you better not complain. I better not hear excuses. I better not hear, let's calm down. You just said you signed up for the expectations. You want the pressure. The pressure is here. The pressure is on. Don't fire back and say, let's relax. Everyone's got to calm down. You asked for it. You got it. Now you have to deliver. When you look at number 5 going into this year, I think that's putting too much stock in the player Aaron Rodgers used to be and not who he currently is in 2024. I think Aaron Rodgers is the most overrated quarterback here in this athletic list. The most undervalued. The guy that I don't think is getting enough respect going into the season. Sitting at number 13 on the Athletics quarterback ranking list is Jalen Hurts of the Philadelphia Eagles. Buy your stock now. He is winning the MVP trophy this year. He is going to have the best year of his career and bouncing back after a horrific second half of 2023. Number one, I think the coaching change for the Eagles will make a big difference here. Out with Brian Johnson, in with Kellen Moore. Kellen Moore has respect around the league. Everywhere he's gone, he's had success. He is going to unlock that offense. Couple that with the fact that now you have Saquon Barkley, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. You trade for Jahan Dotson. Still a high-level receiver. I don't understand what the Commanders are doing. Different story there. Still a high-level offensive line. There is so much talent right now in Philly that as long as Jalen Hurts is healthy, I don't see how he has a bad year. And that's also part of what happened last year that I don't think enough people talk about. He was dealing with a knee injury for most of last year, which limited his mobility, cut down on some of the runs, and just couldn't allow Hurts to play the style of offense he wants to play, which is a dual threat, rollout, on the run, have the threat of his legs be a real deal. No one at the end of the year was fearing Jalen Hurts, the runner. He essentially was a drop-back passer, in part because that knee injury limited his play. Now he's healthy. He has a better offense around him, a better offensive coordinator. He is going to put up big-time numbers here. Big-time numbers in Philly. I am very excited for Hurts here in 2024. He is poised for not even a breakout, because he had a big year in 2022. I think improves off of that 2022 season and shows 2023 was injuries and coaching. But like you look at this list, I mean, the disrespect right now for Jalen Hurts sitting at 13. Does anyone actually think right now going into this year, Kirk Cousins is better than Jalen Hurts? Dak Prescott is better than Jalen Hurts? Jordan Love, Justin Herbert? I'm not taking any of those guys right now over Hurts if they could be on my team tomorrow. This guy is good. And I know we live in a world that is very reactionary. We're quick to move on. So it's what have you done for me lately? And the latest thing Hurts and co put on tape was not pretty whatsoever. But there are reasons for that. Don't sleep on him. Don't forget about him. Jalen Hurts, I think, is going to have a big-time year. Go from 13 here in the preseason to ending at number 1 MVP of the 2024 season. Jalen Hurts, the most undervalued quarterback here in the NFL. 855-212-4227. 855-212-4227. It is Ryan Hickey with you right here on the Infinity Sports Network in for JR on this Tuesday. Who would you say right now is the most overvalued, overrated quarterback you think is getting too much praise going to the season where they don't deserve it? 855-212-4227. Ryan_Hickey and the number 3 on social media. To give you some context here, the top 5 from The Athletic: Patrick Mahomes 1. Okay. Josh Allen 2, Joe Burrow 3, Lamar Jackson 4, Aaron Rodgers 5. I said my piece about Aaron Rodgers at 5. I would have Joe Burrow above Josh Allen. I know Burrow was hurt last year, but again, let's not pretend like this guy, when he's healthy, is not the second best quarterback in all of the NFL. He is, and I think he will be yet again. Allen is a high level, playing at a high level, so he's number 3, no doubt about it. I like Lamar at 4. But one thing I don't get here, and this also could be an overrated discussion. The one I don't get is Justin Herbert. Because like what bothers me about this list is that the criteria is not the same. Like if you want to ding Jalen Hurts, who 2 years ago was the MVP runner-up, but you want to knock him down because of how the second half of last year looked, right? Fine. Then ding Aaron Rodgers because, again, it wasn't just 2023 where he played 4 plays. 2022, he was not good. He was an average quarterback at best. Why are you not knocking him down for that performance? Why aren't you knocking down Justin Herbert, who I know he had some health issues last year, but it's not exactly like he's lighting it up either. What I don't get is just, I guess, the different criteria that is used to grade different quarterbacks. That's what bothers me. Like, either be consistent, and if you want to say, oh, it's all about what you've done lately, then okay, fine. Hurts is down, Rodgers is down, Herbert is down, and move up other guys like Brock Purdy, who had a tremendous year last year, who was in the MVP race, and now he's 10th. Now, once we get games going, this will be the fun part of ranking these guys, but the Athletics quarterback stock report, if you will, the rankings: Mahomes 1, Allen 2, Burrow 3, Lamar 4, Aaron Rodgers 5. What quarterback would you say right now going into this season is the most overrated in the NFL? 855-212-4227, Ryan_Hickey, and then number 3 on social media. We'll get your thoughts, and also when we return, I saw the worst use of replay over the weekend in college football, and it has me scratching my head yet again. I'll explain. I'm sure most of you did not see it. It happened in an obscure game, but once you hear about it, you will be disgusted with the state of technology in sports when it comes to still not getting things right. It's a story you don't want to miss. It is Ryan Hickey in for JR on the Infinity Sports Network. Sports fans, listen up. 1 in 8 men will be diagnosed with prostate cancer, and bladder leaks can be a side effect. That's why Depend is teaming up with the Prostate Cancer Foundation to encourage screening. Because health is a long game, and it's yours to win. Now, here's the cool part. Through November, Depend is contributing up to $300,000 to prostate cancer research by donating 40 cents for every purchase of shields, guards, and Real Fit products. Void in Mississippi. Learn more at depend.com. That is Depend, DEPEND.com.
And they're Florida.
That's
You're in a 4.5-minute break. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
You're listening to the JR Sport Brief.
First off, I just want to say I absolutely love your show. It's awesome. And I think you're doing great, and I really appreciate everything you do.
JR wants to hear from you. Call him now at 855-212-4227.
JR, I'm sure, still does want to hear from you, but I also want to hear from you as well. It's Ryan Hickey in for JR on this Tuesday. Appreciate you making us a part of it right here on the Infinity Sports Network. We just talked at the top of the hour about the most overrated quarterback in the NFL. I think it's Aaron Rodgers. Now, The Athletic today put out a quarterback basically ranking list that they're going to update after every single game this year. Today, they released their preseason rankings. And at number 5, they had Aaron Rodgers. And I don't see how that's possible. I don't see the explanation or the justification for sitting here and telling me right now in 2024 that Aaron Rodgers is the 5th best quarterback in the NFL. I don't see how that's possible. He's 40 years old, coming off an Achilles injury, in which the last time he saw him for a full season, he had the worst year of his career. How is that possible? Do you really think that Aaron Rodgers we saw in 2021, the last year he won the MVP, is the same Aaron Rodgers we'll see now in 2024? I don't see that happening. I don't think that's possible. So when you look at right now who is getting too much praise that doesn't deserve it, I think for me right now it's Jets quarterback Aaron Rodgers. What do you think? What quarterback comes to mind when I say that? Who is getting too much praise that you don't think is worthy of it? 855-212-4227. 855-212-4227. Ryan_Hickey and the number 3 on social media. And also we are streaming the show live on YouTube, Infinity Sports Network, where Nathaniel Duncan does write in, Alberto E. My apologies. Alberto E. does write Herbert as the most overrated quarterback. Justin Herbert was number 6. I don't think Justin Herbert right now should be like, I don't think this is a guy that should be, for reference, above Stafford, above Dak, above Brock Purdy. I wouldn't even put him right now above CJ Stroud. Herbert is a guy that gets a lot of praise, but has not done a lot. And if you're going to penalize someone like Jalen Hurts, who sits there at 13, because he had a poor end to the 2023 season, how can you not punish Justin Herbert? But that's a guy that Herbert, I can't even say has a lot of pressure on him this year, because the Chargers are they're in an interesting spot where I don't expect a lot from them. Like, I think Jim Harbaugh's coming in and they have to do a makeover here where they got to get tougher. They have to kind of be built to the physical style and the physical nature that Jim Harbaugh wants to win with. So they're not going to be airing the ball out like we've seen in previous years, where Justin Herbert, or before him, Phillip Rivers, they're dropping back, 45 times a game and try to win the game with their arm. I think we're going to see the Chargers try to mirror what Michigan football looked like the last 3 years when they ruled the sport. Not obviously counting counter stallions. Running the ball and playing physical defense. I think the Chargers are going to try to punch you in the mouth and have a physical, tough identity. So I don't think you're going to see Justin Herbert be used as much as he was in the past. 855-212-4227. The most overrated quarterback going into 2024 in your mind is? Let's go to Saratoga. Rocco is calling from there. What up, Rocco?
How you doing, Ryan? How's it going?
It's going good, man. What's on your mind, buddy?
Good. Well, I can tell you're not a Jets fan, right?
I am not, no, sir.
Absolutely not. Come on. You're coming down a little too hard on Aaron Rodgers, He's probably number 5. I mean, it's debatable, number 5, but he definitely is one of the top 10 quarterbacks, even with missing last year. He's a talented arm. He didn't lose that arm. I mean, during preseason, he didn't play any games, but his practices and all, they said he was throwing 60-yard dimes. So he still has the arm. Plus, he had a whole season off where he was not racked and tapped by defensive players, right? His body didn't take a beating.
Well, so you could argue even worse, though, Rocco. His body suffered an Achilles injury.
Nah, but his body didn't take a beating. He has an Achilles. He's got to work.
That's a big deal. At 41 years old, that's not ideal.
No, it's not ideal. No one wants a damn Achilles. But other guys have had Achilles and come back. I'm just saying he didn't get banged up.
No, I know what you're saying. So what are your expectations? What are your expectations for Rodgers this year, Rocco?
Yeah, he's fresh.
What are your expectations?
What happened to him when you remember his knee and they said, he wouldn't be able to come? It was a devastating knee injury.
He was 28 years old at the time that happened. That was 2007.
Okay.
We're talking about a 40-year-old going on 41. That matters.
You could miss a season and then look at all the strong seasons after that.
Rocco.
Was how old when you won with Tampa Bay?
Rocco.
Okay.
You are high in Aaron Rodgers. What are your expectations for Rodgers and the Jets this year?
I think with the receiving core he has Williams and Wilson. Those are two top-notch receivers. If Williams stays healthy, he's one of the best receivers. We know Wilson is a damn good. He hasn't had a quarterback to throw to him. Now imagine with Aaron Rodgers, what that kid's going to do.
Are you saying Super Bowl?
No, I'm not saying. Come on, I'm not delirious. If they just get to the playoffs, that'll be a welcome relief. When's the last time they've been to the playoffs? And you never know. Once you get in the playoffs, you look at what happened with Buffalo and Josh Allen. They should have beaten Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, right?
And
they
didn't.
had that game locked up.
So you're saying
And then what
playoffs
happened?
is a success for you. If they make the playoffs, you're happy.
Yeah, absolutely. They
All right.
haven't been there in 16 years.
I
They
hear you.
haven't made
I
them
hear you,
happy.
Rocco. I appreciate it, man. I think you're on an island there. In terms of expectations for the Jets, I don't think a majority of Jets fans are signing up just to make the playoffs. I get you have the longest postseason drought in the NFL since 2010. It's been the last time the Jets have made the playoffs. I don't think with the hype of Aaron Rodgers and now with him missing last year, I think that only adds increased pressure this year to not only get there but make it worthwhile. I would say for the majority of Jets fans and living here in New York, I feel like I have a good pulse on the fan base. I would say a majority of Jets fans would settle for nothing less right now than an AFC title game berth. And that may be even pushing it a little bit too low. It may be Super Bowl. But you signed up for Aaron Rodgers not to make the playoffs. That was not what the deal was. They didn't give him full control. They didn't give him autonomy in the coaching staff, in the roster. Basically have him run the team now for 2 years just to make the playoffs. It is Super Bowl or bust for the Jets. But I would say bare minimum, AFC title game appearance or bust in order to make the Aaron Rodgers experience, we'll call it, worth it. Because that's also what it's been. It's not just the injury for the Jets fans that had to deal with Aaron Rodgers. It is also now the BS drama that they've had to deal with because of what Aaron Rodgers says, what he does, and where he goes. He's not made it easy for Jets fans. Packers fans can attest. The guy is a walking headline on purpose. He wants the attention. He's a narcissist. He wants all eyes on him. He wants people talking about him. And so he does what he wants. He says whatever comes to mind. He only, will go on certain shows so he doesn't get pushback on what he wants to say. This is a guy that has put Jets fans, it sounds crazy, but it's true. He's put them through hell. Whether it's a little tease, and that's not on Rodgers, not blaming him here for getting injured. That does happen. Like the 4 plays doesn't help. But the drama, even before he got on the team of, will the Jets trade for him? Will they not? It took like a month to get that trade done before eventually he was moved from the Packers to the Jets. There was drama getting him. There's drama since he's been there. He has to make it worth it for him. You heard it in the clip before we played a few minutes ago. Rodgers welcomes the pressure. He wants to go to a team where expectations are high. I don't think if he just makes the playoffs and they lose in the first round, he is not getting a hero's welcome. He is not going to be applauded by Jets fans. He's not going to come back. They don't have Old Timers Day, but, they honor legends and stuff like that. He's not coming back, and they're not honoring Aaron Rodgers for just getting to the playoffs. You got to win 2 playoff games here. Bare minimum. I think for Jets fans to call 2024 a success, especially when this could be it for him. This could be it. It's Ryan Hickey right now with you in for JR on the Infinity Sports Network. So I've had this stance for a while, and unfortunately, every time I watch football, it only drives the point home of why I'm more right. I am of the belief that we have to get rid of instant replay. Because at this point, I think it causes more harm than good. Because even though we see a call on the field is incorrect, or we see how a call should be ruled, when they go to instant replay, when the referees go to instant replay, it feels like more times than not, the right call is not made. And when you are consistently getting things wrong, even with the help of replay, and people are still confused, get rid of it. Get rid of the agita. Get rid of the frustration, because all it is causing is more problems and not providing solutions. Here's the latest example. I'm sure you didn't see this. Hand up, I didn't see it till after the fact. Let's go down to the Sun Belt. Arkansas State was taking on Central Arkansas. Central Arkansas was looking for an upset here. Arkansas State was a big favorite here. Late in the game, Central Arkansas is winning. Winning the game, trying to pull the upset. Arkansas State is driving down the field. They're at the 7-yard line with 10 seconds left, not even. Clock's ticking down. Quarterback for Arkansas State drops back, throws a fade to the back corner of the end zone. Receiver's running, dives. Makes the catch, toe down, falls down out of bounds and drops the ball. So he initially caught it, got a foot in, but he did not survive the ground. When he hit the ground, the ball squeezed out. And you can see on video, the ball is on the ground. The referee in the back corner initially signals incomplete pass, which is the right call. Didn't survive the ground. We know that's not a catch. Referee got it right. For whatever reason, the replay system buzzes down. Hey, let's look at it one more time just to be sure here. Again, remember, the call on the field was incomplete, which was correct. They go to replay. Look at the review. They come back. They announce touchdown. They reverse the call and say touchdown. And with 3 seconds left, Arkansas State is given a touchdown they don't deserve. They end up beating Central Arkansas. And the explanation that was given as to why the call was reversed was that the replay official incorrectly was looking at only initially the catch and the foot down. He didn't look through the rest of the play to see if the player who was diving survived the ground. And you can clearly see the ball pops out. It is on the ground away from the receiver. It's not one of those, did it touch the ground? Did it not? Did the ball move? We've seen plenty of replays that are tough to see. Clear as day, the referee on the field saw it incomplete. The replay official was not looking at the ground, missed the ball coming out, ruled a touchdown, and the Sun Belt today had to issue an apology to Central Arkansas for basically taking away a win from them. Like, what are we doing? How does this keep on happening? And it's not just in the Sun Belt, and you say, oh, who cares? Okay, I got screwed, but we were watching. Who cares? Did anyone watch the Penn State-West Virginia game on Saturday? This is not because I'm a Penn State fan, because it went both ways. Penn State got a few calls that were wrong. West Virginia got a few calls that were wrong. But there were multiple times where the announcers and Gus Johnson and Joel Klatt were saying, okay, this is the replay. This will probably be, if there was one play near the goal line, did the running back get in or not? Clearly, his elbow was down before the ball crossed the goal line. It was ruled a touchdown during the replay. Okay, it's probably going to be short. It's going to be, third down at the 1-inch line. They say touchdown. They're like, excuse me? What? There was a fourth down sneak attempt where the running back for West Virginia, clear as day, was stopped before the line to gain. He wasn't in a pile. He was out in front of everybody. Clear as day. A yard short of making the first down, ruled the first down. There were so many things I saw in that game that make you scratch your head of, you miss it live, okay, that's one thing. The speed of the game moves fast, and I think referees do deserve a break because I don't think people realize how hard it is to make a snap decision when everything's happening so quickly. But that is why replay is supposed to be implemented, to fix the wrongs. And if you can't watch a replay in slow motion and make the right call, get rid of it. Save myself, save yourself the agita, the frustration, the confusion as to why someone that is looking at an 80-inch screen, zoomed all the way in, slow motion, every angle you can dream of, is still not seeing what we're seeing. I don't know how you fix it. Like, I would say just use common sense, but clearly common sense is long gone out of the replay system. But it's to the point where I am all for getting rid of replay. Screw it. Because if you're not going to get it right on the replay, then save me the frustration and the confusion of having to see a blown call get missed a second time. Again, I can feel for the refs and show them empathy and sympathy for missing a call in the moment. But there's no excuse as to why someone in the replay center can't get things right. My apologies to Central Arkansas and their fans for getting screwed out of what could have been a big-time upset win. And just yet again, another example of replay leaving you scratching your head and saying, what the hell are we doing?
There was another bad call at Notre Dame, Texas A&M, fourth down. I think it was like 4th and 1. Notre Dame goes for it. They do a QB sneak. You can clearly tell the Notre Dame quarterback crossed like the goal line.
Yes, you're right.
And then the refs reviewed. They said, all right, like they spotted the ball. They challenged it. Like, all right, let's take a look where the ball is. You can clearly see the quarterback's half his body is over the line.
Right.
And they go, yeah, it's they didn't get a turnover on downs, Texas A&M football. And I was watching it like that's just a terrible call. Like that's wrong. It doesn't take I mean, you can clearly see, and like the announcers too are all like, I think Kirk Herbstreit was like, this is a first down. Like, there's no doubt about it. Like, I am looking at this clear as day. The guy crossed the line. It's first down, 1st and 10 for Notre Dame, but they just reversed the call.
The only thing I could think of that I would appreciate is like an explanation after like a true like interview with the replay official. Like, walk us through what you saw, because we don't see many explanations. The Sun Belt provided one, thankfully, and they admitted at least that the replay official did not look at the ground for whatever reason to see if the receiver, survived the catch or not in the Central Arkansas State game. But like for that first down, for some of the ones in Penn State, West Virginia, it's like I need an explanation of what the hell you're looking at, because what you're looking at and what we're looking at are clearly two different things. But you are still making this call that is flat out wrong and deciding, even though video evidence support the contrary, you're saying this is the right call. It makes no sense to me. It is frustrating, and I think only adds more frustration to fans, not solves problems that we are seeing. 855-212-4227. It is Ryan Hickey in for JR right here on the Infinity Sports Network. When we return, we start off the show by discussing Florida State losing to Boston College. I want to circle back to that game, not only to give Boston College their rightful praise, but also wonder, how were so many people wrong on Florida State? I have a theory I'll get into when we do return after we get the latest sports update from Rich Ackerman.
Infinity Sports Network Sports Flash.
Now, just 6 days away from the Monday night season opener for the 49ers and Jets, and Trent Williams reportedly set to end his holdout, reporting to the Niners, and more good news for San Francisco with Christian McCaffrey returning to practice after missing time with a strained calf. As for the Jets, they have come to terms reportedly with Michael Carter. The nickelback gets 3 years, $30 million in total, 19 of which is guaranteed. It makes him the highest paid slot corner in the NFL. And Cam Hayward gets a 3-year extension with the Steelers, where the total of $45 million, $16 million is guaranteed. Clemson stays in the top 25 of the newest AP poll, but just barely. The Tigers are 25th. Florida State drops out of the rankings after an 0-2 start, while Georgia remains number 1. The Orioles, a half game out of the AL East lead, taking on the White Sox, who are dreadful and have lost 11 straight, so it's a predictable start at Camden Yards, with Baltimore in front by a score of 7-0 as they head to the bottom of the third. Top 4, it's the Nationals leading the Marlins by a score of 4-0. The Twins and a Carlos Santana homer lead the Rays 1-0, bottom 3. The Blue Jays on top of the Phillies 6-1 in the bottom of the first. Dalton Varsho with a home run for Toronto. Kyle Schwarber going deep for the Phils. Right now, bottom of the second, no score between the Mets and the Red Sox. Mets a half game behind Atlanta for the final wild card in the National League, and the Braves and Rockies are just underway and scoreless as they head to the second. The Guardians and Royals getting underway in Kansas City. I'm Rich Ackerman.
This is the Infinity Sports Network. Check out our new and improved website at infinitysportsnet.com. That's infinitysportsnet.com.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. 30 seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
You're listening to the JR Sport Brief.
First time caller and listener. I'm loving the show. Your show is just absolutely outstanding.
I got to tell you, I've been listening to you, and I've been feeling and agreeing with your flow.
Call him now at 855-212-4227.
It's Ryan Hickey in for JR on this Tuesday. You ever stumble across a TV show that is just an awful show, but it's so bad that you can't stop watching? For me, that's Love Island. I guess really the UK version, but also the US as well. My girlfriend watches that show a lot, so I've been in the room when it's on. And you hear these people there to find love. They've known each other for 3 days, and they're saying, "I love you, let's get married." It is so bad, but it's so good I can't stop watching. The next thing you know, you're sitting there for 4 hours ago. Where the hell did the time go? You just get consumed into a vortex of basically watching a train wreck, but you can't look away. You rarely get that in sports, We have that this year in the Chicago White Sox. They have already set the record for most losses in franchise history. They are right now on track to be the worst team record-wise in MLB history. And I'm just watching a highlight right now. They're playing in Baltimore. This is like a team that I think I'll watch every White Sox game down the stretch here just to see how bad it is. So in the second inning, it is already 4-0 Orioles. Bases loaded, 2 outs, Orioles are up. Eloy Jimenez hits a pop fly down the left field line into the Bermuda Triangle, where the left field is coming in, the third baseman's going out, the shortstop's going out. All three are converging on this pop fly with 2 outs. Shortstop peels off. Once someone's calling, I got it, he gets out of the way. While the third baseman and the left fielder still keep coming, still keep going, run into each other, knock heads, ball drops fair, all 3 runs score. And the White Sox just continue to make a mockery out of the game of baseball. It is truly impressive to watch just how bad they are. And it's like you don't know what you'll see. You are seeing things you never see on a baseball field. It's so bad, it's good. I have seen this replay now like 15 times in the break, and I can't stop watching it. I have MLB Network up on in the studio here, so they'll do a few cut-ins here and there. Like the White Sox are must-watch TV. My Mets just played them for 3 games over the weekend. It's a joy to watch them. It is like watching the Bad News Bears of professional baseball. It is. I mean, if you're a White Sox fan, number one, I feel bad for you. That sucks. But number 2, it's so bad, it's good. You can't look away. That should be the slogan. There you go, White Sox. There's something positive. It's so bad, it's good. The 2024 Chicago White Sox. My God. Speaking of so bad, it's good. Maybe not the last part. So bad, period. Florida State. This year coming on in with a top 10 preseason ranking, losing to Georgia Tech in Ireland in week 0, and then just getting humiliated at home by Boston College last night. The new AP poll came out today. And to nobody's surprise, Florida State goes from ranked 10th in the country to unranked. Third team since 1989 to go from top 10 to unranked, after 1 week. Sorry, my throat got a little dry there. My apologies. But here's my question. That's not a surprise whatsoever. My question is this. Why did so many people miss on Florida State? Why were so many people, the media specifically, so high on this Seminoles team when they clearly were nowhere near the level of team they were last year? They were nowhere near deserving of being a preseason top 10 team in the country. Not when you downgrade a quarterback from Jordan Travis to DJ Uiagalelei. Not when your wide receivers aren't better than they were last year. Not when your defensive line, with the loss of Braden Fisk and Jared Verse, is worse this year compared to last year. I mean, this was a top 20 scoring defense last year that had 5 guys in the draft. You're not replacing 5 draftable players with 5 guys in the transfer portal and expect them to play equally well, if not better. So why were so many people off and wrong about Florida State? Because I wasn't. Called it in the preseason rankings reaction I did on YouTube. Brian Hickey, check that out. It's still relevant here after week number 1. But Florida State was my team. It happens every year, 19 out of the last 20 years. A preseason top 10 team has finished the year unranked. I circled Florida State as one of those teams. I think Michigan will end up in that category as well. But Florida State was a team that I thought would finish the year unranked. And that was, by the way, thinking they would be 2-0 by this point, not 0-2. I'm not going to sit here and pretend I said them losing to Georgia Tech and Boston College, but they got tough games at Notre Dame, at Miami. They play Clemson. I don't think the Tigers right now, or I should say, I don't think the Seminoles are better than the Tigers, even though that game is in Tallahassee. Why were so many people wrong on the Seminoles? And I have a theory. I think the media specifically felt sympathy for Florida State. felt bad that they got left out at 13-0, even though they were on their third-string quarterback and beating barely bad teams in the ACC. They felt bad. They felt sympathy. They wanted to make it up because they felt like the College Football Playoff Committee screwed them. So I think they padded their ranking, inflated their status, tried to think positively about the Seminoles feeling bad from last year instead of looking at the reality of this roster and realizing they lost too much to be anywhere near as good as they were last year. We can't have sympathy when it comes to rankings. You got to call for how it is. And 2023 should have zero impact on what happens in 2024. It doesn't have an impact on the field. Why are we allowing it to have an impact on the rankings? It's ridiculous. The Seminoles are already showing you they are nowhere near one of the top teams in the country. They're nowhere near one of the best teams in the ACC in what is the worst of the Power Four conferences. Call it like you see it. And Florida State should have been properly ranked, which was, I would have been okay with 16, 17. So we're in that lower teens, early 20s. Definitely not top 10. And you're seeing right away, a lot of those believing in the Seminoles, a lot of those thinking that 2023 will carry over into 2024, you've been proven wrong immediately. Don't show sympathy. You can feel how you want about 2023. 2024 is a new season. Call it as it is. And there's a lot of people right now eating crow, not because they didn't think they were going to be good or not because they didn't think that they were going to, struggle, but because they let their emotions cloud their judgment. On the flip side, I'd be damned if I didn't give credit, though, to Boston College. I am so happy for Bill O'Brien. Bill O'Brien does not get the credit he deserves because of how things ended in Houston. It was an ugly end. I think he let the power get to him. He wanted to do too many things. He wanted to be Bill Belichick 2.0. There's just too much responsibility of coaching the team, let alone trying to be the coach and GM. The power got to his head, and it was a downfall for his career in Houston. But those teams were good. He left Houston with a winning record. He knows how to coach offense. And you watch that offense at Boston College, they're fun, man. They're explosive. They just went into Tallahassee and bullied Florida State. If Bill O'Brien stays there, and I think he will, I think this is his last stop as a coach. I think he can make that team a contender. Not every year, but once every 4 years, 5 years, have Boston College in the mix to win the ACC. Better than anything they've had in the past, really, since Matt Ryan was there. Bill O'Brien can make this team a real winner. I'm excited for him. As a Penn State alum, I have a real soft spot for Bill O'Brien for what he did to help save Penn State's program. And I got a connection to Bill O'Brien. I don't know if I told you this, but when I was at Penn State, it was 2012. It was the first year of the sanctions, when you had the scholarship ban or scholarship limit. You had the bowl ban. And so my first year was Bill O'Brien's first year. And at Penn State, they had what they called run-on tryouts, which is basically walk-on, but at Penn State, they called it a run-on. So I said, you know what? They need bodies. I played high school football. I'm going to make Penn State football. So I go to the tryout. It's like early in the year. They have all these combine drills, the 40, like a shuttle. They do some other things. I'm like, okay, I'm not fast. I'm not tall. I'm not explosive. But I'll make this team when they see my hands, when they see me run some routes as a receiver. So we do all the testing stuff. I don't do great, whatever. But okay, now it's time to throw the ball. Let's go. So we kind of move over with the quarterbacks into like the corner. And right as we're getting ready to throw, Penn State's practice ends. They're on the outside outdoor fields. We're on the inside practice facility. So Bill O'Brien, a few coaches walk in. So we're kind of like the receivers are in a group, the quarterbacks in a group. They're all right, let's run some routes on there, kind of get everybody warmed up. So the receivers are all kind of like, no one's making a move. So I said, you know what? I'm going to make the move. I'm going to walk out there first. I'm going to set the tone for everybody. It's like a 5-yard slant. I make my move. I put my right foot down. I cut. I'm running, across the middle. Quarterback throws a really nice pass. I put my hands out. Ball goes right through. Not only does the ball go right through my hands, it hits Bill O'Brien in the foot. I turn around. He looks me dead in the eye, goes, rolls his eyes, and walks away. Safe to say, did not make Penn State football team. Bill O'Brien, he can scout talent. When we return, why the Jamar Chase Holden is a big loss for the Bengals. It's Ryan Hickey in for JR on the Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
You're listening to the JR Sport Brief.
And welcome on into the JR Sport Brief show right here on the Infinity Sports Network. It is Ryan Hickey in for JR. Thank you for making us a part of your Tuesday evening. If you missed any part of the show so far, easy, quick way to catch up, Hick at Night podcast feed, Night spelled N-I-T-E, available wherever you do get your pods. All episodes of these JR shows that I fill in for, my Sunday show on the Infinity Sports Network, 10 p.m. Eastern to 2 a.m. Eastern, uploaded there as well. My schedule's all over the place, so easiest way to stay up to date is with that Hick at Night podcast feed. Again, Night spelled N-I-T-E. We are now 2 days away from NFL football starting, 5 days away if you're a Bengals fan from the Bengals and Patriots getting things started here in week number 1. And at this point, this is getting ridiculous. Like, this Jamar Chase holding from the Bengals perspective is ridiculous because this is organizational malpractice by the Cincinnati Bengals to not have Jamar Chase signed already. What are you waiting for? We all know the outcome of how this is going to end. You're signing him. The only question is when. Is it going to be before Sunday? Is it going to be at some point next year? But no matter when this ends, we know how it ends. With Jamar Chase getting a long-term extension and staying in Cincinnati for the foreseeable future. So why are you wasting your time? Why are you making Chase go to lengths that he's going to by sitting out of training camp and missing valuable practices? And why are you making it tougher on yourself and your team to win games? I don't understand what the Bengals are doing. Look at it from a financial perspective first. Right? That's the big thing here, money. By paying Jamar Chase now, you are saving money in the long term. Salaries are only going up. Wide receiver salaries are only increasing. So the longer you wait, the more you pay. We know, thanks to Ian Rappaport, what Chase is looking for. He wants, 1 cent more than what Justin Jefferson got. Justin Jefferson early this offseason got 4 years, $140 million. So all Jamar Chase is looking for is $140 million and 1 cent. You give that to him now, that's going to feel like a bargain 2 years from now. If you want to force him to wait, if you are staunch on, I'm not paying a guy 2 years before his deal is up, you're playing out this 2024 season on your current deal, and we'll talk after the year, Chase may be pissed, but that's actually to his benefit because he's only going to earn more money. You are only going to be paying a larger salary if Chase plays this year. Because when Chase is on the field, the guy produces. 3 years, 3,000-yard seasons. Guy's 29 total touchdowns in his 3 years. He's going to explode. He had 100 catches last year, even with Joe Burrow being hurt or missing most of last year. The guy produces at a high level. So you want to tell me that if he has another 1,200, 1,300-yard season, racks in 12 touchdowns, and that he goes back to the negotiating table, you know what he's not asking for? $140 million and 1 cent. That price is only going up. So you pay now, you save later. Why are you waiting? How does that make any sense for you to play the long game here, make Chase wait, because in the end, you're only going to pay more. Ask Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys how patience has hurt them when it comes to salaries. Ask Jerry Jones how much money he saved by waiting longer to pay guys like CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott. The longer Jerry has waited, the more he pays. The same thing is applicable right here with Ja'Marr Chase. Financially, it doesn't make sense for the Bengals to wait. And from an on-field results perspective, it doesn't make sense either. Like, I know Ja'Marr Chase has all this built-in chemistry with Joe Burrow. Playing at LSU, playing 2 years together with the Bengals, I get it. Or 3 years, with the Bengals, I get it. But still, the guy needs reps. The guy needs to be out there. He's not had one training camp practice. He's not had one full team practice since last year. He's been at training camp. He's participated in a few individual drills. But in terms of like 11 on 11, the guy's not been out there since the last game of the season. He is going to be rusty. Even with how much work he's putting in, he is going to be rusty. Why would you want to hurt the start of your season by having a guy in Ja'Marr Chase, your most valuable receiver, still try to work back into shape? That is not what's best for the team, especially in a big year where it is Super Bowl. There's Super Bowl expectations of the Bengals. I think they are the main challenger this year to the Chiefs. Why would you hurt that chemistry, especially when you look at the schedule early on? The Bengals open up with the Patriots. Hot take here, they don't need Ja'Marr Chase to beat the Patriots. They stink. But look at week 2. Oh, what is this? At the Chiefs. Week 5 versus the Ravens. That first month or so of the year is pivotal for the Bengals when it comes to divisional seeding and overall playoff seeding. That game, week 2, Bengals at Chiefs, could determine who has home field advantage in January. And you're really telling me if you're Cincinnati, you want to mess around and for a couple of $1,000, maybe $1 or $2 million, you're going to haggle and keep Ja'Marr Chase out of practice and jeopardize your ability to win that week 2 game in Kansas City? Why would you do that? It doesn't make sense. So it's like the more you look at this situation as Ja'Marr Chase yet again is not at practice and the season is rapidly approaching, why would you not get this done? It doesn't make any sense from the Bengals' perspective, financially or on the field wise, to be playing this game this long with Chase. The end is already known. You are going to pay Ja'Marr Chase. You are going to make him the highest paid receiver in the NFL. You pay now, you save later. You wait, you're going to end up paying a lot more than what he's looking for right now, which is $140 million and 1 cent. And while all these shenanigans are going on, all you're then doing is taking away valuable practice reps from Burrow, Chase, and the first team offense, who need to be clicking on all cylinders by the latest week 2. The Bengals have bungled this entire situation. Forget week 2 here for a second. We may not see Ja'Marr Chase on the field Sunday. Fantasy football owners and Bengals fans, you want to listen to this from Adam Schefter here. Schefter was on the Pat McAfee show and warned we could see Ja'Marr Chase not on the field week number 1. Take a listen.
If he's going to play at all this week against New England, that deal has to get figured out in the next 48 hours. And even then, you might only be able to use him in certain situations like red zone spots, key third downs, whatever it may be. Maybe you even dress him and you have him, but you don't even use him. The Bengals play the Chiefs next week. And that becomes, to me, a real leverage point for Ja'Marr Chase. Because if somehow, some way, he's still not practicing and not playing in that game against that team, that impacts your ability in a game that could very well have seeding ramifications later in the season.
Schefter's he's 100% right. What are we doing? It doesn't make sense. Waiting literally has no benefit to the Cincinnati Bengals in dragging their feet to get this deal done. And also, by the way, this is what I have not mentioned yet so far. So You're hurting yourselves by only costing yourself more money going forward by waiting. You're taking away Jamar Chase from practice. And oh, yeah, by the way, finally, you're also putting the rest of the team in a bad spot where Joe Burrow has to answer questions about his teammate, where Zach Taylor has to answer questions and put his foot in his mouth about, is Jamar Chase practicing? Is he not? Is he back? What's the status for week 1? Zach Taylor was asked earlier this week on Monday, actually, will Jamar Chase play week 1? Here's what Zach Taylor said.
We'll just take it day to day.
You know why he's saying that? Because he thought Chase was back. Last week, he showed up to practice in full for the most part. Next day, nowhere to be found. So now even you're putting your quarterback, your head coach, you're putting other players in bad situations where they don't know what to say. Why are you putting that pressure and that spotlight on them when you could just get this over with and save everybody the headache? It doesn't make any sense. Finally, Justin Jefferson, not only the man who right now holds the title as highest paid wide receiver in the NFL, he also holds the title of Jamar Chase friend, former teammates at LSU. He weighed in on the Up and Adams show about the contract negotiations between Chase and the Bengals. Take a listen.
I haven't really talked to him about it too much, but I'm pretty sure or confident that he's going to, be about his business and show when he needs to show up. And I hope that he gets the deal and hope that he gets the contract that he's looking for. But I also hope that he plays it smart and not let it get in the way of his greatness and being on that field.
I think with how Jamar Chase has played it, I think he's played it perfectly. Honestly, he's putting pressure on the Bengals. He's trying to get a deal done. Now, again, the only thing I would say if you're Jamar Chase is why rush to get a deal done now when you can play out this year, have another big season, add that to your resume, and now you can only increase with your leverage the asking price of what you want. You can get more money by waiting till next year. And even if he's injured, I don't think even an injury impacts his leverage and his ability to get a big deal, because we've seen plenty of players, whether it's Dak Prescott back in 2020 when he shattered his ankle, or last year with Justin Jefferson when he was trying to get a new deal, didn't get one, hurt his hamstring, missed 7 games, and still that offseason became the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history. So I don't even think an injury would lessen the leverage for Jamar Chase. So I don't see a downside in playing this year out. Take a chance, bet on yourself, and make way more than what you are asking for right now. But when you look at this from the Bengals' perspective, they are the big losers. Because every angle you look at it from, financially, playing-wise, pressure-wise, they are big-time losers in this Jamar Chase holdout. And having him miss week 1, God forbid having him miss week 2, there's no coming back from that if you are the Bengals. Get this done. It's already, the due date's already been passed. Now just getting it done saves you the headline of not seeing Jamar Chase on the sideline or in street clothes in week number 1, still trying to get a deal done. But you screwed yourself. The damage has already been done if you're the Bengals in dragging your feet and refusing to pay a guy who absolutely deserves to get paid. 855-212-4227. 855-212-4227. It is Ryan Hickey with you right here on the Infinity Sports Network. I want to hear your thoughts about this. Are the Bengals the big losers here, no matter how this plays out at the end? Whether they sign Chase to an extension before week 1 or not, have the Bengals bungled this entire Jamar Chase contract situation here, or are you with Cincinnati? That Chase should wait for a new deal, show up to training camp and practice and play in his rookie deal. 855-212-4227. 855-212-4227. Ryan_Hickey and the number 3 is where you can find me on social media. YouTube, Infinity Sports Network is where you can watch the show and also comment on the comment section as well. So plenty of ways to get involved with the show tonight. Love to hear your thoughts. It is Ryan Hickey in for JR right here on the Infinity Sports Network. We will hear your thoughts. And also when we return, we said week 1 is 2 days away. I can't wait. I know you're excited as well. It's early. But I don't think that means that nobody has something to prove. I think there is teams and players that have to prove they can get off to a fast start. The team under the most pressure, or I should say, maybe I'll put it this way. The team with the most to prove in week 1, I'll tell you when we do return. Ryan Hickey, right here, Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. 15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
You're listening to the JR Sport Brief.
I do think you're one of the best people in radio right now, hands down. I've heard everybody. You got the gift, and I appreciate, your intelligence and your honesty.
Call him now at 855-212-4227.
It's Ryan Hickey in for JR right here on the Infinity Sports Network. If you are a youngster right now, I have a lesson for you. Actually, old or young, doesn't matter. This is a lesson that is applicable to all ages here. If you run your mouth, you better back it up. That's right. That's, I think, applicable in life, and that's not new news. You've heard that, I'm sure, now for generations. But if you run your mouth on the internet, you better not hide. Because, boy, not only will the internet find you, I think you will just be... You are asking for bigger problems by running than you could ever imagine if you just go through it. So here's what I'm talking about. This caught wind. I came to this late here, but this caught wind about halfway through the Florida State-Boston College game. There used to be a Twitter account that went by 321 Noel. Big Florida State fan. He tweeted exactly a week ago, last Tuesday, August 27th, 2024 at 11:42 a.m. This is a direct quote. If Florida State loses to BC this weekend, I will eat dog crap out of a red Solo cup with a spoon and post a video of me doing it. Book it! Exclamation point. So, obviously, Florida State is a 17-point favorite. Maybe you thought, okay, they're a bounce back here and they're going to, erase the Georgia Tech loss and they're going to win. Well, about halftime, when Boston College is up by 2 touchdowns and running away with the game, guess what started circulating all around Twitter? This tweet. And what did 321 Noel do? Instead of owning it, instead of saying, I guess I got to pay up, he tried to run away. Deleted his account. Deleted other social media accounts as well. He tried to run and not pay off the debt that he said he would, if in fact this result that he said would not happen, did in fact happen. And boy, did we watch that blowout happen of Boston College manhandling Florida State. But here's the lesson here. Twofold. Number one, you try to run from the internet will find you. I've seen a lot of Twitter accounts in following this story last night who, as 321 Noel deleted his Twitter account, then deleted his Instagram, then deleted his Facebook, and tried to remove himself from the internet. People found him, identified him, found his Snapchat, found his fiance's Instagram. When you want to hide from the internet and the internet wants to find you, they will find you fast. To the point where I saw someone who's been trying to track him, they found his phone number. You want to run, you can't hide. That's number one. But number two, when you try to run from a debt like this, I think you have to pay it off double now. Like, he said he would eat dog crap out of a red Solo cup. You got to eat 2 Solo cups worth of that now. Like, I think you trying to run and hide, you now have to pay off double the bet. It's not just good enough for you to pay off the bet that you said you would do if the team loses. When you run like a coward, I think you have to pay double, right? Like you have to pay a price for trying to hide and get out of it. It's not now good enough anymore just to pay off the initial debt. And I hope for Florida State's perspective, if you're a Noles fan specifically, I hope for your sake, he does this. Not because it's humiliating and be funny, but because I think now we could see the curse of the dog crap over Florida State if he does not pay off this bet. We have seen, like, when you tempt the sports gods, they punish you. They get you. The curse of the Billy Goat, the curse of the Bambino. When you tempt and go against the sports gods, they make sure your team suffers. If this Florida State fan does not pay off the debt of eating dog crap, and again, I think for running, he should pay double. Make him eat 2 cups of dog crap, bare minimum, for trying to not only, be a coward, but run and hide and get out of it. If he does not make up this bet and follow through on what he said, I would say, Florida State fans, you will never see a national title again in your lifetime. You are screwed. Curse of the Bambino lasted what? Over 100 years? Same with the curse of the Billy Goat. You are screwed. These curses last for decades. And if you're Florida State, man, I would not want to tempt it. I would be petrified of Florida State going into a hole and never coming out of it, at least in our lifetime. So the fate of this Seminoles program, it's not in the hands of Mike Norvell, not in the hands of the athletic program going forward or the next recruiting class. The future of the Florida State program for decades to come is in the hands of 3-2-1 Noel. If he follows through, I think all will be forgiven. I mean, this year's lost anyway, but your future years could be saved. If this guy doesn't follow through, he continues to run and hide like a coward. The curse, I'm telling you right now, the curse is happening and it will last for decades. Florida State football will go in the toilet and not get out.
The worst thing about this whole thing is 3-2-1 Noel. It's not like he made a bet with somebody. He just went on social media and just tweet like, yeah, if they win, like, I'm so confident they're gonna win. I'm gonna go on social media like, hey, like, he wasn't going back and forth with somebody. He voluntarily went on social media and just went, if they lose, I'm eating dog crap from a red Solo cup. Like, what? All right, listen, I admire his confidence in his team, but that's so beyond. Like, that's just insane. Because how did, like, I don't know. I mean, I've been, you feeling confident, great, but I don't know what was going through his mind going, I guess he never thought this could backfire and we could lose. Obviously
clearly.
not. I mean, obviously not.
Clearly.
But this stupid guy, oh my God.
But also, too, Jack, the timing of it. Like, I'm an emotional fan, especially for college football. It's 12 games. It is all or nothing. I will admit, I get carried away. Whether it's good or bad, my emotions swing way further than they should. So I've been known to tweet things after a game, good or bad. If Penn State wins, they're going to national title. If they lose, fire Franklin. It's over. This team sucks. I absolutely fall into the...
Well, that's one thing. That's you just being an emotional fan. Like,
right.
But you're not going on social media.
But I bring that up
right,
because I was going to say, like, it's one thing if he tweeted this 10 minutes after Florida State lost to Georgia Tech. Like, the Georgia Tech field goal goes through, Florida State just loses, you're upset, you're shocked, you're angry, and you want to make it right quick. There's no way they're going to lose to Boston College. And that's a coping mechanism that I've done. Like, you guarantee it, they're going to win, and you try to grab anything positive from what is just a disastrous game that started last week against Georgia Tech. I would understand it a little bit if that came right in the moment after the loss. This was tweeted on Tuesday of last week at 11:42 a.m. The loss was 72 hours old. At that point, you are not still emotional from that game. You have moved on. So he was in like a clear state of mind. I'm assuming it's in the morning. I don't think he was drinking. I say that pretty confidently.
Well, you'd hope not, yeah.
To your point, like, you make this bet with yourself for no other reason than other just attention.
Yeah, right. Another
you
thing,
got to pay it off.
I mean, also, too, it's not like it was right before kickoff either. Like, he was hanging out in his house, probably sitting on his couch on his, like, and was like, I'm so confident in Florida State beating Boston College. I'm going to, put a waiver in and say I'm going to eat dog crap. Like, dude, like, it's not like the adrenaline was going. He was at a tailgate, and he was like, yo, they win. You know what I mean? Like, I understand that. Getting emotional. You get a little overconfident. I get that. But it was like in the middle of the week, like it was just so everything about this is so random.
You have to pay it off.
Listen, you gotta do what you gotta do it at this point.
Have you seen this story, Ack, that has swept Twitter? A Florida State fan tweeted last week that if they lose to BC, he will eat a red Solo cup of dog crap.
Well, I wonder if he has any condiments on it, like mustard or ketchup.
Well, clear this tweet got a lot of views as BC is kicking the crap out of Florida State, no pun intended. He deleted his Twitter. He's deleted all. He's on the run. He is trying to run away from the internet. My point is, I mean, you make this, he put out that you have to follow through on the bet you make. But now that he's trying to run and hide, doesn't have to do like something else or like double it up. Like, it's not good enough anymore just to pay off the bet you made. When you try to run away from the responsibility, delete all your social media, hide and get out of it, don't you have to pay now more than just the initial price?
Well, people, the worst thing you can do is not think before you hit that send button.
I mean, clearly. I mean, that or just have overconfidence, to say the least. But either way.
Yep.
This guy is if the internet is undefeated for a reason. I have a feeling one way or another sometime soon we will see this guy eating dog crap. That's for sure. Keep an eye out for that.
That's not one I want to visualize.
No, you won't be tuning in?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, all right. So. That's a shame, I guess. It is Ryan Hickey in for JR on this Tuesday. When we return here, we'll get into week one pressure, which team has the most to prove in the NFL, and also some of the storylines I am most excited to see as football does return for this opening weekend. We'll do that after the latest sports update from Rich Ackerman.
Infinity Sports Network Sports Flash.
Well, the Jets and 49ers will close out week one a week from yesterday. The 49ers today tying up some loose ends as Christian McCaffrey expected to be on the field on Monday night as he returned to practice after missing the last few weeks with a strained calf, and Trent Williams' holdout is reportedly coming to an end. The Steelers have come to terms with Cam Hayward on a 3-year deal worth a total of $45 million with $16 million guaranteed. Georgia, still the number one team in the new AP Top 25 poll as expected, and followed by Ohio State, Texas, Alabama, and Notre Dame. Clemson, after falling to the Bulldogs, drops to 25th. Florida State is out of the top 25 after a pair of losses to open the season. Baseball tonight, the Orioles, now with a 9-0 lead over the White Sox in the bottom half of the sixth. Chicago has lost 11 in a row and has 106 losses so far on the season. And the Yankees, a half game in front in the AL East, underway and scoreless in Texas in the bottom half of the second. In the National League, the wild card race is heating up, and the Braves have a half game lead over the Mets for the final playoff spot and lead the Rockies 2-0 in the top of the fifth, while the Mets have a 2-1 lead over the Red Sox as they go to the sixth. The Phillies fell behind 6-1 in Toronto. They have come back, but it is now a 6-4 game as Toronto remains in front in the top half of the fifth. Also tonight, Rays lead the Twins 2-1, bottom six. Top of the seventh, it's the Nationals 5 and the Marlins 2. The Guardians on top of the Royals, who have lost 6 in a row, 1-0 top of the fourth. Pirates and Cubs are scoreless top 3. Cardinals and Brewers even at 2, top 4. Jackson Churio, a home run for Milwaukee. I'm Rich Ackerman.
You make the call. 855-212-4227. When you want to talk to us, call 855-212-4227.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
You're listening to the JR Sport Brief.
You have always an amazing show that everybody gets to listen every night. The topic is always interesting. Sometimes I can't call because I'm just listening to everybody and their opinion, and that's the reason why I love your show the most.
JR wants to hear from you. Call him now at 855-212-4227.
It's Ryan Hickey in for JR on this Tuesday. Appreciate you making us a part of your night right here on the Infinity Sports Network. We got a lot of week one prep for you. Who is the most approved here in week number one? What are some of the biggest storylines that we should all be excited to see as football does return? I will tell you after. I do remind you that the Defensive Player of the Week is sponsored by the Navy Federal Credit Union, who proudly serves the Armed Forces, DoD, veterans, and their families. Their members are the mission. Learn more at NavyFederal.org. Let's give it to Taylor Fritz. Let's do a little tennis here, U.S. Open tennis. Taylor Fritz, the American, takes down Alexander Zverev in 4 sets to advance to the semifinals at the U.S. Open. If you watched, not Full Swing. Oh, now I'm blanking on the name of the Netflix show, the tennis edition of Full Swing, and they follow a lot of the tennis players around. Taylor Fritz is a very likable player. American guy. Not many Americans, right, are great at tennis. Good to see him advancing now to the U.S. Open semifinals. Excited to see him. Hopefully he could take on and face current American, well, I don't know why I said current American. Fellow American is the better way to say that. Francis Tiafoe, who is also now in the quarters looking to advance to the semis. He is taking center court in about 10 minutes or so. It'd be nice to watch that here and talk with you. Unfortunately, we have DirecTV, which means no thank you, as they are in a big-time fight with Disney. So all Disney channels right now are currently unavailable on DirecTV. Thank you very much. All right. It is Ryan Hickey with you right here. Week 1, 2 days away. And while it is early in the season, and I get, look, how much does 1 week actually matter? I do think certain teams and certain players have incentive and pressure to get off to a fast start. And so when you look at week 1, the matchups, who's playing, who's making debuts at new teams, I think the player and the team are the same when it comes to the most to prove here in week 1, who has to get off to a fast start. It's Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles. They have to show immediately in Brazil, week 1 against the Packers, that 2023, that decline they had was a fluke. Hurts, others, they have blamed the coaching staff as to why that team was such a disaster down the stretch. And so if we are saying, okay, it was the offensive coordinator's fault and the defensive coordinator's fault, and they're both fired, now it's on the players to prove that the pointing the finger and the blame game was correct. And I think that starts right away in a nationally televised game against a fellow playoff team in the Green Bay Packers, an up-and-coming playoff team in the Green Bay Packers. There is a lot of pressure right now on the Eagles, I think, to come out firing, especially when you have all that talent on their team. Again, you want to blame the coaching staff. Well, then you can't come out and lay an egg when you have Jalen Hurts, who should bounce back now that he's healthy, with Kellen Moore coaching him, adding Saquon Barkley, adding Jahan Dotson to what already is a really good receiver core with A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. Dallas Goedert is a really good dual threat tight end that can block really well and catch the ball really well. You have a good defense. Like, there's too much talent here to fail. Where if it is truly coaching and you replace those coaches, you should come out guns a-blazing. You should come out like you did in 2022, playing well and just destroying everybody in your path. Not saying you have to blow out the Packers. You have to win this game, though. You have to play well. Bare minimum, you need this offense to play well. If you lose a shootout 43-30 and Jalen Hurts and Jordan Love are going back and forth, you can live with that. But bare minimum, you need an elite offensive performance from the Eagles here, and you have to leave Sao Paulo with a victory. I think the Eagles, of all the teams here in week number 1, they have the most to prove. We have seen teams be 1-year world beaters and come back down to earth. The 2016 Falcons, right? Matt Ryan won the MVP. They went to the Super Bowl. I won't tell you how it ends. Falcons fans can do that for you. But like ever since that year, 2016, the Falcons were never one of the elite teams. They never got back to the top. The Eagles have to avoid that. They were there in 2022. They were the mirror image of the Falcons. Atlanta never got back. Philly has to prove they are not a carbon copy of the Falcons. They are different. I think that puts pressure immediately on the Eagles, week 1, nationally televised game in Brazil to come out and play at a very high level. Speaking of week 1, I'm very excited for that Brazil game. We won't get into why it's in Brazil and how ridiculous that is, but hey, that's a different story for a different day. But there are fascinating storylines all throughout the league as the NFL gets set. It's not like college football, you get a few good games, but a lot of yawns and a lot of blowouts. There are some intriguing matchups. There are some great games, new faces in different places. I'm so excited for week 1. So I want to do this with you. To get you set, maybe if you're unaware or haven't looked at the schedule just yet, get your eyes in the right direction when it comes to getting locked in for week number 1. My top 5 most exciting storylines of week 1, let's get into them.
Number 5.
It is the return of Anthony Richardson. We got a very small taste of Richardson. Played in 4 games, only finished 1. But in the small sample size we got from the number 4 overall pick of the Colts, there was a lot to like. 7 total touchdowns in those 4 games. The offense flashed. He showed his athletic ability and his explosiveness. Shane Steichen showed you with Gardner Minshew how creative and how good he can get lesser players to still contribute and play at a high level. There's so much to like here with this offense, but now they have a freak physically. And Anthony Richardson returning. I cannot wait to see how him and Jonathan Taylor look, how him and Shane Steichen get along. The return of Anthony Richardson is easily one of the best storylines to watch, especially when you look at the matchup. Taking on the Texans, at home, the winners of the division, a quarterback in your draft class that stayed healthy and balled out in C.J. Stroud, who added a boatload of talent in the offseason. The incumbent winners taking on the up-and-comers. I am fired up for this game. This should be a lot of fun. Texans, Colts, get it on your quad box. It is going to be a really fun game here. The return of Anthony Richardson will be absolutely a big-time storyline to watch here in week number 1.
Number 4.
Russell Wilson taking on Kirk Cousins. 2 faces, 2 different places. I have no faith in Russ whatsoever. So honestly, that to me, I'm looking at a car wreck. I don't think this offense is going to look very good. I think it's going to look disorganized. What we saw in limited reps in the preseason and in practice did not look very pretty. I don't expect much from Pittsburgh. I expect a lot from Atlanta. You look at their schedule, they should start 14-3. Or not start. They should go in the regular season 14-3. They have 3 tough games. Everybody else they play, there's not a team that's better than them. Steelers are not better than the Falcons. They play the Cowboys. They're not better than the Falcons. Falcons have talent. They have an experienced quarterback. I'm excited to see now Kirk Cousins in a new offense with Bijan Robinson. Speaking of which, very excited to see how he is now with an offensive coordinator that actually wants to get him the ball. Arthur Smith. Speaking of which, Arthur Smith, I didn't even realize that for a second there, going back to Atlanta. So going back to a familiar place he was so graciously exited from after last year. But Russ versus Kirk. 2 quarterbacks, switching teams. I expect a lot from Kirk Cousins. Excited to see how quickly that offense can hit the ground running.
Number 3.
Tom Brady's booth debut. I think he will be good. I'm assuming he's going to prepare a lot. He obviously is insanely knowledgeable. He won most of the games that he played in, not with his athletic ability, but with his brain. I think he should be a really good analyst, but I'm excited to see how he does it. I want to see it. I did not watch the preseason game him and Kevin Burkhardt did. I think it was Rams-Cowboys, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, back in week 1. It was a rough little, a rough draft, if you will. But that's the big-time game on Fox. Cowboys-Browns in Cleveland. That place will be rocking. Should be a really good game, fun matchup. Tony Romo got off to a hot start before, obviously, he lost flavor pretty quickly. Greg Olsen is a stud. I would say right now the second best game analyst. I like Troy Aikman a lot. But there are big shoes right now for Tom Brady to fill, as crazy as that sounds. I'm excited to hear him. I'm excited to see how it goes. One of my biggest and most exciting storylines of week number 1, Tom Brady making his long-awaited, much-anticipated Booth debut.
Number 2.
Speaking of Browns-Cowboys, I cannot wait to see how Deshaun Watson does against this Cowboys defense. This feels like a make-or-break year for Deshaun Watson. Not because the Browns are going to get rid of him. That contract is still too big, I think, to trade after this year. But I think this is the last stand. If you're anybody in the NFL holding out hope that Deshaun Watson could once again return to the 2020 level where he was a top 5 quarterback in the NFL, that's the level the Browns are hoping they get here. This, to me, is the last year. Like, if he can't show it this year, he never will. And that is going to go down as the worst move in NFL history. And so you get a great test here in week number 1 against a Cowboys defense that is good, but I don't think will be as good now that Dan Quinn is no longer there. But this is going to be, this is a big year for the Browns. They have a great roster. Nick Chubb is still taking his time to come back, so that run game will be a little bit of a question mark, but the Browns have so much talent. They don't need Deshaun Watson to do much in order for them to have success. So that is why, if we're talking about Deshaun Watson still struggling, despite the fact he does not have to play hero ball, you're screwed. The Browns are screwed. So this is a big test here where I think Deshaun Watson has to come out of the gate firing and play at a high level. Again, everybody will be watching that game. I have a feeling come Monday morning, when you're listening to sports radio, when you're listening to podcasts, actually, hopefully listen to me, 10 p.m. Eastern this Sunday and every Sunday right here on the Infinity Sports Network, giving you the first reactions to everything that we see from Sunday. I bet right now my lead for the show will be that Browns-Cowboys game, centered around Deshaun Watson. If it's not that game, it will be
number 1.
The biggest storyline, the storyline I'm most excited for, Caleb Williams making his much-anticipated debut. He's taking on the Tennessee Titans, so it's not exactly the best opponent or the sexiest opponent. But still, it's a revamped Tennessee defense that has a good secondary and a strong defensive line. They should give Caleb challenges. And so if he's able to play at a high level, disperse the ball, get his playmakers involved, look calm, make the right decision, get this offense rolling the way he should, we could be leading the show with Caleb Williams making his presence known immediately and already catapulting the Bears, into the playoff conversation. I am so excited to see how well he plays and now finally get a taste of Caleb Williams in the NFL. I think he's going to ball out. I know there are a lot of doubters out there, a lot of haters. I think one less thing now the haters have to knock Caleb Williams on is his lack of leadership, as he's voted a team captain by his peers, by his players. So the Bears locker room clearly respects and gravitates around Caleb Williams. The only thing he has to answer, because the leadership part's been answered, how can he play on the field? For me, that's the one I feel most confident in. I think we'll see a big debut here from Caleb Williams, but damn it, I am very, very excited to see it. I'll give you an honorable mention here of something I'm excited to see that did not make the list here of top 5. I'm excited to see the Chiefs wide receivers here, how they look in week number 1. The Chiefs receivers were horrendous last year. Outside of Rashee Rice, who has his own problems and can't, drive properly and keep himself out of trouble, that receiving core was extremely underwhelming. And I don't think they did much to improve it. They brought in the Hollywood Brown. I'm not sold that's going to be a great move. He's already injured here and going to miss this week 1 game against the Ravens. But the depth is not very good. They bring back Juju Smith-Schuster, has no knees. You still have Sky Moore, yuck. That receiving core on paper is not very good. So I'm excited to see how they bounce back, if they can bounce back here, because I don't think we're going to see much difference in the Chiefs offense from last year to this year. That was a team carried predominantly by their defense. I think more of the same will happen here in 2024, but excited to see what what the Chiefs offense does look like against that Ravens defense. When we return, Florida State's loss to Boston College confirms one thing. Mike Norvell will be fired at the end of the year. I'll tell you why when Ryan Hickey in for JR on the Infinity Sports Network returns.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
You're listening to the JR Sport Brief.
And welcome welcome on into the JR Sport Brief Show right here on the Infinity Sports Network. It is Ryan Hickey in for JR. Appreciate you making us a part of your Tuesday night. If you missed any part of the show so far, easy way to catch up, Hick at Night podcast, Night spelled N-I-T-E. It's been a fun show so far. A lot of Florida State talk, including why you do not tempt the sports gods. Dog crap guy, if you are listening to me right now, do it for your fellow Noles. Eat the crap, own it, and save the program. Do the right thing here. We talked a lot of other things as well. NFL preview, who has the most to prove in week number 1, top storylines, why the Bengals are losers, no matter how this Jamar Chase situation ends. A lot of, honestly, fun, good stuff tonight. Hick at Night podcast, Night spelled N-I-T-E. That is where you can catch up on what we have talked about so far in this show. Biggest story of today is a story we updated you on a lot last night. And that was Boston College, at the time of the show, leading Florida State, as we know how it ended, blowing Florida State out. That loss was one of the worst losses in the 122-year storied history of Florida State. Like, that was a catastrophic loss. And what it should do is, I think it should cost Mike Norvell his job. I think at the end of the year, Florida State has no choice but to fire Mike Norvell for this loss we saw Monday night. And it has nothing to do with the result. Why I think he should be fired was because of the effort his team showed, really lack thereof. What we witnessed on Monday night was a team in front of our eyes quitting on their coach. They quit on Norvell. They never showed up. They wanted no part of it. Because if they actually had some pride, if they actually cared, there's no way they would have allowed 263 rushing yards like they did last night. If that offensive line actually was into it, they would not have gotten manhandled on the offensive line the way they did and only rush for 1.3 yards per carry. TJ Uiagalelei, some him, some of the receivers with drops, he wouldn't have completed as many passes that also fell on the ground. 21 completions, 21 incompletions. That was a flat-out mail-in from Florida State. That was one of the most disgusting efforts I've ever seen from a storied program. And it came, by the way, at a time that should have been the easiest for Florida State to get up, be fired up, and come out of the gates strong. Think about going into last night, what Florida State was facing here. They're coming off, the loss of Georgia Tech last week in Ireland. But the good news is for the Seminoles is that unlike previous years, now with the 12-team college football playoff, one loss doesn't end your season. They could lose at Georgia Tech and have everything they want right in front of them. Nothing really changes after week 1. So you had an excellent opportunity with your season still very much alive on your home field in a nationally televised game to send a message. And by the way, send a message as you've had a chip on your shoulder all off season based on what happened last year when you were 13-0 and didn't get into the college football playoff. Everything lined up for this team to come out strong and firing. And they did the complete opposite. How can you keep Mike Norvell if you're Florida State moving forward after watching that piss-poor effort you saw on Monday night? And look at a team that looked as lackadaisical as possible, that looked like they wanted to be anywhere but on the field. How can you trust Mike Norvell moving forward to get your program in the right spot? 855-212-4227. 855-212-4227. I can't trust them. That team never got out of first gear yesterday. They never showed any sort of pride, any sort of frustration. They didn't care. And that, to me, is a direct referendum on the head coach. You can't get your players fired up in this spot? When can you? If your players are already tuning you out now, when will they ever have your ear? So going forward, if you're the program at Florida State, how can you actually sit here and say, we are in good hands with Mike Norvell? This is a guy who admitted after the game when he was talking with the media, Mike Norvell was talking to the media, and he basically told them that, hey, I didn't have my guys ready to play.
Sick to how the season started. Obviously tonight, I failed in preparing the team to be able to go out and respond tonight, and and just the things that were necessary for us, the things we talked about, things we emphasized. Obviously, in all phases, we're not able to execute.
Players know. Players, I think, can sniff out a fraud before anybody else can. And so when you hear what Mike Norvell said, and again, the easiest spot ever as a head coach to get your team fired up and focused to play at a high level, to see the lack of effort, see the lack of focus, see the lack of care that Florida State showed yesterday. You hear Mike Norvell say, I failed my players to get them ready to play. That is me assuming and believing this team doesn't respect their head coach. They smell a fraud, they identify a fraud, and they're not going to listen to a fraud. And you know what? Can I sit here and say that they're wrong? I can't. Look at the results. Norvell has been there 5 years now in Tallahassee. This is the third time in 5 years Florida State has started 0-2. To put that into perspective and discuss how rare that is for the Seminoles to get off to this slow of a start, let's go back to when Bobby Bowden first got to Florida State back in 1976. In those 48 years, from then to now, Florida State has combined to total 6 0-2 starts in that 48-year span. 3 have come from Mike Norvell the last 5 years. That is problematic. That is a guy that right now has a group of 5 mindset at a Power 5 program. It's great when you're at Memphis. It's great when you're at Cincinnati or UCF or any of these other schools where if once every 5 years you can get the perfect storm of guys coming back, guys you get out of the transfer portal, maybe the conference is down, and you make a run, you're in the top 10 and you're competing for a playoff spot. A lot of schools can do that. But the difference between consistent winners and everybody else is that those schools are at the top or near the top every single year. Those schools like Memphis, Cincinnati, UCF, they can get there, be in the mix in the conversation, but it's once every 5 years, once every 7 years. That is what Florida State is now. They are a group of 5 program under Mike Norvell. They are in the conversation 1 out of every 5 years. Because Mike Norvell, in the 5 years he's been there, had Florida State in the mix 1 time. That's group of 5 stuff. This is a program that expects to compete for championships every single year. Bare minimum. Expects to compete for ACC championships in what is the weakest Power 4 conference. And the fact that you are in last place 2 weeks into the year is inexcusable. It has to have you looking, if you are Florida State administration, at what the hell is going on. Why can't we win consistently? Why does it take a perfect storm in order for us to have a chance? Why aren't we knocking on the door every single year when, by the way, you're in an ACC where nobody's the top dog? Miami's the top dog this year. Clemson was the top dog until 2020, and they've fallen off. I know they've won an ACC title since, but they have not had control of the conference. Pitt got in there and won an ACC title. Like, what are we doing? Where is Florida State consistently in this mix? How is that not the case? This loss showed you last night. Mike Norvell is not the guy for the Seminoles. This is a guy you can't trust with the future of your program. I don't care about last year. 13-0, great. The overall body of work has been concerning, and there's been more bad than good. This team is getting outplayed, out-physicaled, out-toughed, I'm not even sure those are the right words, but those are perfect ways to describe right now this Florida State team. They are soft. They are soft. They look like they don't want to be there. They're not responding to their coach. It is a complete mess right now in Tallahassee. And if you're a Florida State fan, if you're a Florida State administrator, you got to look at that and say the only way out is by bringing in somebody new. It's not been anywhere near as consistent. It's been nowhere near as dominant as Florida State expects. You have to change that. Norvell has to go. 855-212-4227. 855-212-4227. Is Mike Norvell the man to blame right now for Florida State's struggles? Look, DJU is not very good. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that he's blame-free. Trust me, he stinks. That defense has been awful. That offensive line has been terrible. Is Norvell the number one guy who deserves the most blame, and should it result with him losing his job? 855-212-4227. 855-212-4227. Ryan_Hickey and the number 3 on social media. Let's go out to Cincinnati. Our buddy Lee is on the line. What up, Lee?
Hey, Ryan. Thanks for taking my call. And look, I'm a big Florida Gator fan. I can't believe I'm about to stick up for Norvell and FSU. But one thing you have to realize, during this 48 years you're talking about, that's back when Bobby Bowden was the coach of FSU.
Right.
And ACC stood for always crappy conference. I'm not kidding. They only would have one powerhouse at that time because Miami wasn't even part of the ACC at that time. The ACC was only Florida State and all these other teams that were in there. And Bobby Bowden was able to put together a great team because there was no NIL at that time. They did not have to pay players, and that was one thing, for instance, that Steve Spurrier even said about being at the University of Florida. All you had to do was drive 2 or 3 hours and find as much talent as you needed to come out of high school, to come to your school, to be able to play winning football. And Bobby Bowden had that, but he was also able to get the best players from Georgia and from Alabama, because this was right after, if you remember, when Florida State really got good, after Bear Bryant was gone from Alabama, and they went through that downtime. So FSU was the team. My point is it was a completely different playing field than FSU is playing on now. Well, am I saying that Norvell?
Let me ask you this really fast here, Lee. How is the ACC, when you called it the always crappy conference back in the 70s and 80s with Bobby Bowden, what is the difference between then and now? Like who's the dominant team? Who's the consistent team?
Well, there is, but there's a lot more parity, is what I'm saying. There is no. You're absolutely right.
Is there, though?
There is. I think there is. I sincerely do, because you've had Clemson who's been able to come up and win some national championships. Dan Ford, in my opinion, got really lucky back in 1980 with Clemson going 13-0, and he was doing a lot of stuff that wasn't really on the level that would be okay now.
Right, but Lee, look at let's just say the last 5 years or so. Right, as Clemson's taken their downturn and that dynasty has ended. We've seen Pitt win the ACC. We've seen Clemson with a not very talented team win the ACC. We saw Florida State with their third-string quarterback take on Louisville last year. The ACC stinks. It has stunk. It stunk for a while. And while one team may rise up, even in the national landscape, right, since Clemson's dynasty, there's been no dominant ACC team that everybody respects and praises.
You are absolutely right, and that's why the ACC still kind of stands for what I said. But I'm talking about Florida State's place in it, because they were actually a team, and everybody even said back then, and yes, I'm going back to the past, and I apologize about that, because that's where I like to live, because the Gators actually used to be good and they stink now. But even back then, the national championship in the 90s went through the state of Florida. Miami, which was in the Big East, Florida, which was in the SEC, or FSU, which was in the ACC. That's all because they were always able to get
but let me ask you this, Lee. If you're trying to defend Mike Norvell here, just to take it to present day, you can't use the ACC level of talent right now to defend him. It's not been very good the entire time he's been there. And now you look at the two teams he's losing to, you were double-digit favorites in both games.
Well, that's very true, and you're absolutely correct. All that has to do with his coaching. But I don't think he has the ability to get the talent now because of NIL, because of other things.
Why?
That FSU was able to before in the past. And so and that's, like I said, that's why FSU was so good comparatively in the past, was because their talent level was so much more. Now there's a lot more parity in talent level, which kind of shows you got to have a great coach. Bobby Bowden was a good coach, in my opinion. Great field general.
Are you saying you want to keep him, Lee, so your Florida Gators can win later in the year? I think that's what you're saying.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Yes, please help me out here, man. Florida has got to win at least one game, or they might beat Samford. All right, this coming week, but after that, yeah.
Yeah, you better hope. Lee, I appreciate the call, and that right there, a Florida fan calling in saying, keep Mike Norvell. That's all you need to know. That is all you need to know. Let's go to, here's an interesting one. Bama hater calling from, ironically enough, Alabama. What up, Bama hater?
What's going on, my guy?
How we doing, man?
Hey, man, I can't complain. I'm a Hurricane fan down here in the middle of Alabama country and Auburn country. But I want to address something you said. Now, I can debate football or I can just talk smack because I don't call shows with narratives. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I just heard you say something about the second-string quarterback for Florida State. Yes, they did beat number 12, I think, at the time, ACC team to beat to win the ACC championship.
Louisville, yeah.
But when I discuss that with these Alabama fans every other day at work, they want their total body of work included a win at non-Power 5 South Florida with their second and third string quarterback, along with some squeak buys in unranked Texas A&M, unranked Arkansas, and they needed every foot on the rabbit to beat a 6-5 Auburn team. So what's good for the goose is good for the elephant, right?
I never heard that one before. What's good for the goose is good for the elephant. I've always heard what's good for the goose is good for the gander. I like that. I think, Bama hater, this is what I'll say. You're an SEC country. You can speak to this more than anybody else, and I appreciate the call. They see everything with SEC colored glasses. The worst team Alabama plays, Samford, would beat everybody else in the country. So don't get wrapped up in what they say, where, like you said, Alabama beats Auburn last year, a bad Auburn team on a miracle 4th and 30 conversion, and it's like that was the greatest one ever. How impressive, look at Alabama go, and Florida State wins the game, and it's like, oh, who cares? There's a lot of bias down in the South of the SEC versus the rest of the country. Don't get wrapped up in that. Here's what I will say that when it comes to Florida State last year really fast, because I don't want to relitigate the past too much because it's not relevant here, but when you want to talk about Florida State last year, they rightfully got left out of the playoff. They didn't deserve to be in. I thought the committee made the right decision by not putting them in. Forget the third-string quarterback for a second. You look at their body of work. Barely beating Clemson. Barely beating a bad Miami team. Barely beating a bad Boston College team. Barely beating a bad Pitt team. A lot of the wins they had were ugly. They weren't playing good teams and they were barely surviving. You should not get rewarded for playing down to your level of competition. So I don't think Florida State got screwed last year whatsoever. I think the committee made the right call. And now so far you're seeing here in 2024, Mike Norvell, not your guy for 2025 and beyond. It's Ryan Hickey in for JR, 855-212-4227. We'll get your thoughts on also when we return here. The most overrated quarterback going into week number 1. I'll tell you that next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
You're listening to the JR Sport Brief.
This is the first day that I've heard your show, and what a find. Great show. You have a smooth delivery in the way that you handle talk radio.
Call him now at 855-212-4227.
It's Ryan Hickey in for JR on this Tuesday. Welcome. Appreciate you making us a part of your night. If you miss any part of the show, Hick at Night podcast feed, Night spelled N-I-T-E. That is where you can get caught up to date on everything from today's show. So one thing I really found interesting and will find interesting throughout this season is that The Athletic each week is going to rank quarterbacks kind of like stocks. And based on how well they play, how poorly they play, re-rank the quarterbacks 1 to 32 after each week in the NFL season. And so today they released their preseason rankings. And I want to get into really fast here, based on these preseason rankings, who the most overrated quarterback is, who the most underrated quarterback is going into 2024. Let's start with inflated. I think the quarterback that's most overrated going into this year is Aaron Rodgers. The Athletic has him as the 5th best quarterback in the NFL going into 2024. That's ridiculous. There's no world right now in which Aaron Rodgers is the 5th best quarterback going into this season. Because right now, this is a man currently is 40 years old, coming off an Achilles injury, in which the last time we saw Aaron Rodgers in a full season setting, he was an average quarterback. Go back to 2022 with the Packers. He had the worst year of his career. Where you look at passing yards, fewest of his career. Passing touchdowns, he had 25, second fewest of his career. His 12 interceptions, second most of his career. And the Packers that season, the last time Aaron Rodgers played a full year, they went 8-9 and missed the playoffs. Aaron Rodgers is no longer the MVP Aaron Rodgers that everybody thinks he was, or thinks he is, I should say. I mean, we are 3 years removed now from his last MVP award. The guy's 40 years old, coming off a major injury. And we are really going to sit here and say that this guy going into the year is the 5th best quarterback? Is better than Jalen Hurts, who he's ranked above? Better than Brock Purdy, who he's ranked above? What are we doing? Better than Matthew Stafford? What are we watching? Because the last time you saw a full season's worth of play from Rodgers, he was not very good and not getting the Jets, or excuse me, the Packers at that point, to the playoffs. And I think we'll see a whole lot of 2022 again here in 2024. I don't think the Jets are making the playoffs. I don't think Aaron Rodgers is going to be playing like a top 5 quarterback. I don't think he's going to be the savior that a lot of Jets fans hope and dream he will be. But for the Athletic to put him 5th going into this year, I think it's a gross oversight. Because you know what that is, that ranking's about? That ranking is putting too much stock into the player Aaron Rodgers used to be and not the player he currently is. That is what these rankings are about, who you currently are. And we'll see soon. Aaron Rodgers is not currently the 5th best quarterback in the NFL. He is, for me, by far, the most overrated quarterback going into 2024. The most underrated, the most undervalued quarterback in this season, I think, is Jalen Hurts. The Athletic has him as the 13th best quarterback going into this year. Buy your stock now. This man is winning the MVP. Jalen Hurts, MVP winner. You'll see it here this year. There is too much talent, and Jalen Hurts is too good to allow 2023 to be who he is. Let's just put a few important things in context here. Number one, he was hurt last year. He had a knee injury that limited his mobility. He was not the same dual threat quarterback that we saw in 2022 that helped get the Eagles to the Super Bowl. He was compromised, and thus so was his play. But also, the coaching staff stunk. The coaching staff was not very good. And so you're kind of working with one hand tied behind your back because you don't trust the coaches to put you in the right position to succeed. So to the Eagles' credit, you bring in Kellen Moore, really good offense coordinator, has success everywhere he goes. You add Saquon Barkley. There's so much talent on that offense already still there. Now that he's healthy, he's having a big year. There's no way Jalen Hurts is going to be an average quarterback here in 2024. MVP, lock it up, book it. You heard it here first. He is by far the most undervalued quarterback going into 2024. It's Ryan Hickey with you right here on the Infinity Sports Network. We will get to this day in sports history very shortly here, but Manny Rodriguez in the house doing updates here. We'll get a full sports update from Manny here in a second. But Manny, this story has caught my eye here the last 24 hours. I can't get enough of it. Have you been following the Florida State dog crap fan?
Yeah, I have. I've seen it on Twitter. It's very unfortunate. What is it? Knowles fan 321 Knowles.
321 Knowles.
Yeah.
It's not no. Unfortunate. He did it to himself.
Well, I mean, yes, he did it to himself. It's unfortunate the route that he had to the route that he took for him to get the retweets that he was obviously searching for. But yeah, I mean, you tweeted it. It's out in the ether. You got to do it. You know what I mean?
Not only do you have to do it, but now that he deleted his account, tried to erase himself off of social media.
Off of the internet? Good luck, brother.
Exactly right. The internet will find you. But now that he's trying to run away like a coward, you have to pay double now. Like, it's not good enough anymore that you're trying to run away to just pay off the initial debt. You have to, whether it's eat 2 cups, whether it's do something else, I think you have to pay for trying to run away.
All right. So 2
Make
cups
it 2.
of 2. All right. But now let's switch it up. Why don't we make it, I don't know, dog. Some dog poop to go along with the.
What?
That's what he bet, right? Horse poop, right?
No. Dog.
Oh, it was dog. All right, so let's mix it up. Let's get some horse manure in there.
Okay.
Let's get some cow manure in there for his attempts to get out of this little tweet that he got out.
Whatever it is, you can come up with everything you want. It is, I think, no longer satisfactory just to pay off the initial debt. Like, you have to be punished for trying to run away. This is 2024. This is the internet.
This is why I wouldn't vote for you for president.
Why?
Because
I'm holding people accountable?
Don't you think it's a little too extreme what you're doing?
Extreme? I didn't force the guy to tweet it. I didn't force the guy to say a ridiculous thing that he was not going to. I didn't force Florida State to lose the game.
Yeah, you're not
All I'm
wrong
doing
on
is
that.
being accountable.
You're going to force Florida State to start the season 0-2, right?
Like, I love Twitter.
Oh, I know you do.
But one of the things that I think makes Twitter special is that if you want to say something, you have to back it up. Sure, it's a platform where you could say anything. But in situations like this, you have to be held to your word, and the internet will make sure you are held to that word. And when it comes to now accountability, I think you should be punished for trying to hide and run away.
If not, Ryan Hickey is going to be on your butt.
So, you know what? Maybe I will run for president. You want to make outrageous claims? Go. I'm not going to stop you. I will encourage it.
You still have, 5? It wouldn't be the next election. It would be 2
I have
elections.
5
from now, right?
years
Yeah.
at age 30 till I'm eligible. That's the only thing right now stopping me from being in the office. Age. Not policy, not experience.
Well, might be experience.
It might be all the above. Also, I wouldn't want to do that. That job stinks.
Yeah, it looks like it ages you quick. My
No,
gosh.
thank you.
If I've learned anything in my years of growing up in this country, that president job, that ages you like that. It
If I have
ages you
to
like
have
sour milk.
Meetings with the defense secretary instead of watching college football on Saturdays, nope, I'm out. I am out. No, thank you on that. The manhunt is still ongoing. He is not, he's been found, but we have yet to get the payoff
He's
yet.
been found. He hasn't been doxxed yet.
Well, yes. I mean, they found his phone number. You can't run from the internet.
I know,
They
man.
will find you, man. They found it in the span of 2 hours.
They found his number. They found his Snapchat.
Found his fiance's Instagram.
That's a doozy.
And look, it's all out there, man. In this day and age, I mean, it's not hard to find information on anybody. I can find information on you in 2 seconds.
You won't find much.
Try me. It's Ryan Hickey in for JR on this Tuesday. We'll do This Day in Sports History. Also hear your thoughts as well after we get this latest sports update from Manny Rodriguez.
Infinity Sports Network Sports Flash.
All right, Ryan, with the NFL season just around the corner, a big-name holdout has come to an end. The Niners and tackle Trent Williams have come to an agreement on a restructured 3-year deal worth $82.66 million. Now, instead of getting the $20 million he was owed this year under his previous deal, the 36-year-old will make a shade under $28 million this season. On the other side of the line, the Steelers and Cam Hayward have agreed to a 3-year deal worth $45 million. A 13-year vet, he was recently selected to be a team captain for a 10th straight season. The Jets also dish out some cash to one of their young DBs. Michael Carter II is staying in the Big Apple. The 3-year deal worth $30.75 million. A fifth-round draft pick back in 2021, Carter becomes the first draft pick made by GM Joe Douglas to land an extension. To the college game, AP Top 25 is out, and it sees the Georgia Bulldogs at the top, getting 57 first-place votes. Ohio State follows them with 5 first-place votes, with Texas, Alabama, and Notre Dame rounding out the top 5. Florida State drops from 10th to unranked. Baseball, O shut out the White Sox 9-0. Nats beat the Marlins 6-2, and it was the Rays over the Twins 2-1. Still in progress, Blue Jays up on the Phillies 8-6. Mets lead the Red Sox 7-2. Braves lead the Rockies 3-0. Guardians 4, Royals 1. Pirates 2, Cubs 0. Brewers and Cardinals are tied at 3. Rangers lead the Yankees 1-0. I'm Manny Rodriguez.
The Infinity Sports Network is on your smart speaker. All you have to say is play Infinity Sports Network. That's it. Play Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
You're listening to the JR Sport Brief.
Your credit to your profession. You're one of the rare radio personalities that actually balances facts with whatever callers calling with. I'm also calling for Pearland, Texas, so Pearland, Texas loves you.
Call him now at 855-212-4227.
I love this song. It's Ryan Hickey in for JR. I like the slow build. You know it's coming, and then boom. To be good at I feel like a football game. Like it's third down. You just kind of have it fade up a little bit. Goes slowly, building. Boom, hit it. Ba-na-na-na-na. If you were a scoreboard music operator, to put that one in the rotation. I bet you the crowd will go wild. Free advice from yours truly to you. All right, it is Ryan Hickey with you right here. We have This Day in Sports History coming up here in a little bit. Some good stuff that happened today, but we talked a lot of different things here. Hick at Night podcast, Night spelled N-I-T-E, to get caught up on everything that you may have missed. Big college football news we talked a lot about today. Mike Norvell's future. I think the effort, first and foremost, that you saw yesterday from Florida State, or lack thereof, should tell you right now, Mike Norvell is not cut out for this job. This team does not respect him, play for him, like him. I would move on if I was Florida State after the 2024 season. 855-212-4227. Brent is calling from Myrtle Beach. What up, Brent?
Hey, Hickster. Yeah, I wanted to talk some college football stuff. I remember listening to LeVar Arrington do an interview years ago, and
Okay.
he was choosing between Penn State and Florida State when he was, 18, 19. And the reason he didn't go to Florida State is because he felt like he wouldn't get played as much because he wasn't actually from that state. And it just shows you that, with NIL, the world is so different. You might, in the past, want to stay home from where you grew up because you want your mom and dad to be able to watch you play. But if you're making, $250,000 from NIL, you can fly your parents in.
Oh, yeah.
So a lot of these advantages that may have existed, when I was, a teenager, 25 years ago, they just don't really exist to the same level now. And you may not think about going to, Marshall to play quarterback, but if they throw enough money at you, you might think, well, maybe that is in my best interest.
It's meant to spread the talent out, Brent, and I think it's doing a good job that you're seeing parity now throughout college football spread, and I think it's good for fans and good for the sport alike.
And you're talking about some of the ACC kind of school stuff. That's where I graduated from.
Where?
And I think
Where'd you
the
go?
challenge, where did I go?
Yeah.
Yeah, I went to NC State in Raleigh.
Nice. Okay.
And I think the challenge is that the ACC is really a basketball conference in a football world. And There's just challenges with that when you're trying to like build football programs. Your stadiums are smaller. If you get players that are really, really good, they might get poached, which has happened to us a lot in baseball. But it's almost like there's 3 tiers in college football now. You got the SEC and the Big Ten,
right,
and then you got Big 12 and the ACC, which are kind of like the second level, and then you have everybody else. And how it kind of like resolves itself now is like everybody kind of poaches players from the level below them.
Yeah, that's fair to categorize like that. I appreciate the call, Brand. Thank you for your perspective. It does depend. You do see some players at bigger schools like Georgia and Alabama transfer out. Florida State's running back, Roydale Williams, is a transfer from Alabama. So it does go both ways. You can poach down. You can also poach up, if you will. So in terms of like the transfer portal, I don't think there's, it's not like a feeder system where, the group of 5 feeds to the Big 12 and the ACC and they feed to the SEC and the Big 10. I don't think it's like that. But I think it's all with transfer portal, NIL, all helps spread the talent out to get, like all these players at all different schools to make 25 schools competitive one year instead of like 4, like we've seen for a large part of college football. So we did talk a lot of Florida State ACC football today. Also talked a lot of NFL today, mentioned by the pressure on the 49ers. Trent Williams did return to practice today, got a new deal. Christian McCaffrey returned to practice today for the 49ers. Now that he's healthy, Brandon Ayuk signed his deal, so he's ready to go. 49ers are healthy, locked, and loaded. They, to me, have by far the most pressure of any team in the NFL this year to win the Super Bowl. Best roster in the NFL. They've knocked on the door before, which I think going there, getting there, falling short does add more pressure to get the job done. But because of Trent Williams' age, and you're seeing how good the 49ers are with him, without him. 14-2 last year in the lineup, 0-4 when he was hurt or injured. You see that this is a guy who's the heart and soul of this team. They need Trent Williams in order to win big, I think. And that's why if you're the 49ers, forget about Brock Purdy's future and his contract coming and Ayuk, Debo, etc. One man that I don't think gets enough credit for the impact he has, Trent Williams on the 49ers. Ashley's calling from Sacramento with some thoughts. What's up, Ashley?
Hey, so I was just calling because I heard something that the 49ers beat writer Grant Cohn had said, and he basically was saying that it's Super Bowl or bust for the 49ers this year, and that from sources that he's hearing within the organization, that someone's saying basically that it's like I said, Super Bowl or bust, and if we don't win the Super Bowl, that heads will roll, or basically that we might clean house of Shanahan and Lynch, and that they're kind of suggesting that they're on the hot seat. Do you think there's any legitimacy behind that?
No chance. No chance, Ashley, because Kyle Shanahan is a top 3 coach in the NFL, and John Lynch has put together the best roster in the NFL.
That's kind of what I was feeling. I didn't think that there was any sort of legitimacy behind it, but and I hadn't really heard anyone else reporting on it. So I just wanted to call and see if it was anything that you had heard, or if there was any sort of legitimacy you thought behind it. Thank you.
No, of course, Ashley. Thank you for the call. I've not heard anything when it comes to the hot seat of Kyle Shanahan. If you talk about heads or roll, if the season does not go the way it does, my first thought was to Debo Samuel, who could be the odd man out here after this Brandon Ayuk contract and now the Trent Williams contract and Brock Purdy getting paid soon here. So, you can't pay everybody. And I think the guy that would get the short end of the stick or be asked to leave would be Debo. So if you want to talk about that, that head rolling, I would absolutely say that's a possibility and probably a likelihood. Kyle Shanahan, John Lynch, no shot. No shot whatsoever. All right. It is time to end the show the only way we know how here on the JR Sport Brief Show, even if JR is not here like today, where Ryan Hickey's filling in. It is time for This Day in Sports History.
Back in the days when I was young, I'm not a kid anymore. But some days I sit and wish I was a kid again.
It's time for This Day in Sports History.
You see, back in those days, we had radio.
you couldn't see anything, and it was primitive and lousy, and we liked it.
The JR Sport Brief Show.
I wish I was 50 years younger and I'd kick your ass.
Let's go all the way back 96 years ago today. Ty Cobb recorded his 4,189th hit. It also was the final one of his career. That's what the crazy part for me when you hear like that number is that it was surpassed by one man only, Pete Rose. Like you look at any record in the NFL, in the NBA, in hockey, like record, the all-time scoring leader is someone that's, played the last 20 years or so. The fact that the guy with the second most hits in all of baseball, he got his last hit 96 years ago, that to me is shocking. Now with offense and training, like I would have assumed at least that there'd be somebody with, 4,300 hits, just a hit machine. Tony Gwynn was on that path for a while, but just crazy. So Ty Cobb, second all-time in hits, got his last one, his 4,189th hit on this day in 1928. On this day, 1974, Oscar Robertson, the Big O, officially hung it up. The first big guard in NBA history is 6'5". As a point guard, he got there, kind of was a trendsetter before Magic Johnson came in and really changed the position. Mr. Triple-Double. Awesome career by Oscar Robertson. Did officially hang it up this day in 1974. Let's go to 2007. On this day, Pedro Martinez became the 15th pitcher in MLB history to record his 3,000th strikeout.
And there it is. Pedro Martinez, just the 15th pitcher in Major League Baseball history to strike out 3,000 or more batters. He picks up the baseball and he will carry it back to the New York Mets dugout.
That courtesy of Fox Sports. Pedro, man, what a pitcher he was. In his peak, as a Mets fan, I got him towards the end, so it wasn't the same, but those like late 90s, early 2000s Red Sox days, oh my goodness. He was unhittable. He truly was unhittable. Not only did he have elite stuff, he had a tremendous feel for the game and knew how he wanted to set hitters up. It was a true joy to watch. And finally, just 2 years ago, 2022, on this day, September 3rd, Serena Williams played in her final match in the U.S. Open. Take a listen.
It's over. Tomljanovic ends the run this year of Serena Williams.
That courtesy of ESPN, a storied, historic career came to a close there at the U.S. Open. Did not make it very far. Did not make it to the semis, I should say, at least. Excuse me there. But what a run. One of the all-time greats. It was a joy watching her play tennis. And it's cool, too, with documentaries coming out about her and her sister. Cool to see she's still very involved in the game of tennis. She's been at most matches, I'll say. She's in the building I saw over the weekend. Very, very cool. But unfortunately, the end of a legend. Serena Williams played her final U.S. Open match this day in 2022. That is it for this day in sports history. And that is it for the JR Sport Brief Show with Ryan Hickey filling in on this Tuesday. A big thank you to Jack Carty for doing a great job producing. A big thank you to legendary NFL offensive mind Tom Moore, who stopped by the show, gave us some great insight. If you missed that interview, check out Hick at Night podcast, Night spelled N-I-T-E. To hear that, Tom was just tremendous. 86 years old, 46th season he's about to embark on as a coach. He's a member of the Buccaneers this year. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. So big thank you to Jack. Big thank you to Tom. Big thank you to you. Thank you for making us a part of your Tuesday. Don't go anywhere. Sean Levine is up next. It's been a lot of fun. Ryan Hickey filling in for JR. Again, you miss any part of the show, Hick at Night podcast, Night spelled N-I-T-E, or also check out my YouTube channel. Ryan Hickey is the name. Have a great rest of your night. We'll talk to you soon right here on the Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining.